Hello and welcome back to Pact of the GM, a collection of unlovable misfits who have all sworn their souls to me, the GM. Now, this kind of collection of unlovable misfits is actually even more short-handed than we were last week, sadly enough. We are able to welcome Keth back, which obviously we're delighted to do once more. However, we are missing our wonderful Jared, or Baron, and our wonderful Jensen, who is Durgus, for reasons that they cannot possibly change. So obviously we're all very angry at them. We're going to make fun of them next week, and we'll just rip into them for it, because this is all clearly deeply unfair on me, who is the most important person here. We are also missing one other person who we keep promising, and for a number of reasons he just can't make it. Travis Willingham, the CEO, no less, of Critical Role, was supposed to be here, we hoped, but unfortunately I heard that he ruptured his swim bladder and has since been stuck upside down. They are sending a vet out to hopefully try and cure him of this ailment, but, you know, we really just couldn't have someone who was just looking at the world the wrong way up. Still, we will power on without him, and every week, as we've been moving kind of through, I've been having the players give us a little summary of what happened the week before, to remind themselves, as well as to let you guys know, and also to remind me in case maybe I've forgotten something. But this week, we got something special. I'm going to do the summary, because the players didn't want to. I know, shocking. Imagine them not wanting to do hard work. I'm shaking my head right now. Still, if we think back to last week, we actually set up right at the end of some combat. The caves underneath Badgerton had just been cleared out of this kind of horrible goblin menace who seemed to coalesce around some dark, eerie, mystical forces. And really the party got to enjoy their favourite thing as soon as they set off, which was looting. They dug through all the corpses, they were checking every single room, they were pulling on every single thread, even the ones that I really encouraged them not to, because that's what players do. Alongside some kind of rubbish, some detritus that was found in the pockets of goblins, including a petrified rat called Ratty, they came across some notes about the worship of a particular old diabolical power who was supposed to have been worshipped here and appeared to be the source of this strange emanating evilness that had been whispering in their ears. Additionally, they also figured out that this complex was many hundreds of years old, which, you know, in the course of events is still surprising, given there was anything down there at all, but additionally because the builders of this area were supposed to have died out long before that, so, you know, how they may have survived is a mystery as of yet unresolved. Still, the main reason they went down there was to look for Brannon's sister, who they didn't actually discover. Instead, they found some notes suggesting why she had been down there, which was to look for an artifact known as the Ark of Desolation. Now, they couldn't gather too many clues about what this ark is supposed to do, but it gives them some hints towards where they might, or maybe they should, veer themselves if they ever see reference to such an artifact again. Additionally, they also noted, though this was in a session way before, that Brannon's sister was actually down there seemingly without her full consent. She seemed to have been coerced by some of her fellows, which is still very worrying. With Brannon's sister not found, they rose once more from the depths, this time with a new party member in hand, a giant weasel, who they, in an incredible turn of intelligence, something our artificer prides himself on, called Wadger, because they mistakenly called him a badger once, and so they combined weasel and badger. I know, I have such intelligent players here at my Pact. I will also be taking applications for new players anytime you like. Still, they had Wadger, and they brought him on board as they departed the town of Badgerton. Now, they had a couple of places they could have gone when they left, and chose to head north around the island towards essentially the arch nemesis of Badgerton, a village by the name of Houndford, mostly to deal with a ghost that they had ended up making a deal with to see if they could try and resolve that whole issue and bring some closure to the life of the unliving. Arriving in Houndford, they kind of set their feet and got a feel for the village, and ended up going off to meet the manager of Houndford, a bird by the name of Hoot. Hoot offered them a job, 100 gold in exchange for hunting down some criminals. And before they decided to head off for that, they went to pray, or not really pray, but they went to use the services in a sanctuary to the goddess Marxia. And actually, we left off the very last session with a conversation with the Sanctic, the drow who ran the sanctuary, having allowed Brannon to use the bronze brazier that was burning in the corner, and to kind of have some kind of respite and safety whilst he conducts a few spells, though with clearly a wary eye towards him in case he's trying to do something untoward. But I believe that is a summary of everything, which I tried to coalesce to as neat a story as possible, but a lot happened. Do any of the players feel that I've missed anything super important? Speak now.
No, I think you've covered everything.
Yeah.
Probably
I'm going to trust the other two that they know what they're talking about, because I wasn't there.
True.
Probably the most concise version that we've done.
I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate the praise. I should remember this when I'm deciding about death saving throws and whatnot. But we will jump straight back into it, exactly where we left off, which is in this sanctuary to Marxia. A fairly tall, plainly ornate, it's quite grand, but very simple in its grandeur, building, quite long, that you are all standing in before the double set of statues. A short, more masculine-looking figure, very resplendent and glorious, almost like a powerful warrior. Actually shorter, in front of a much larger, very refined, very noble-looking feminine figure, who seems to be almost watching over the more masculine figure, the divine symbol of Marxia as the goddess of that great supportive stable, that power behind the throne, if you will. The Sanctic, the drow, having just gestured toward the bronze brazier, allowing Brannon to head off there to do whatever it is he chooses to do with his burnings. And I believe the rest of you kind of stood before this great double set of statues, able to have a little conversation or just watch what Brannon does.
If I remember correctly, Geronimo and Durgus were arguing before about their roles on the ship. So obviously, after having done this, and Durgus clearly preoccupied in his mind with some sort of grudge or anger towards anyone of a specific kind, he's going to turn towards Natara and kind of look up to her and go, "So, hey, Gaggles, do you believe in some sort of religion? You know, like some sort of god, or is it just science?"
Well, religion, I mean, there is science, but there's also magic in the world. So I believe that there are greater beings, more powerful beings than us, and that people do worship them as gods, but I wouldn't define them as gods, just that we see them that way.
Oh, okay, yeah, I don't. That makes sense to me. I just didn't know if your people had that kind of connection. It's quite clear that some people around here have worship the celestial things more than I guess us gnomes. We trust in the earth, you know, the solid foundations, technology, pastries, you know, that sort of thing.
Aye.
Just seems a little bit strange being at that temple. I ain't prayed a day in my life.
At the comment, sorry.
No, go on.
Just at the comment of having never prayed a day in your life, the drow would look over from the small altar to the side in which she had been standing before, just muttering the slow incantation. You could start now.
Oh yeah? How do I do that?
She steps away from where she was, gestures to the spot in front of, it appears almost like a small stone table, about knee-high, for this quite tall drow. So for you, coming up to maybe your midriff. Before saying very gently, you take the place. You spend a moment finding peace, your center, that quiet voice inside of your head. And you offer up thanks for what you are grateful for. And then ask for whatever it is you choose to seek.
Oh, no, that seems pretty simple to me. I like the way that you got this gnomish dining table here. He's going to point towards the table.
She grimaces at the suggestion that this is a gnomish dining table. The altar is where we place all of our gifts to the goddess.
Oh, is that what you call it in your language? Okay, well, I'll take a seat here, and I'll try and pray. And he's gonna take a seat down on the opposite side, adjacent to her. I think it's probably. I imagine that's how I imagine it in his head. He sort of sits next to her like that. He's not gonna rest on his knees. He's just gonna sit cross-legged. Is she making any sort of like hand gestures while she's praying, or just bowed head?
Bowed head, hands kind of neatly folded in front of her, just very passive, trying to relax stance.
Okay, all right. Well, Geronimo's going to sit there. He's going to put his hands in his laps, kind of, breathes in, mutters to himself. Okay, just find that center. Clear your mind, Geronimo. And he's going to sort of close his eyes, and he's going to think to himself, and he's going to attempt to pray, thanking everyone for being alive and for saving his life from Reginald, and also wishing that the next stop they get to, he has a lovely Danish pastry waiting for him, or whatever they want to call it.
What is Danish?
What is Danish?
Give me a religion check.
Okay, awesome. First roll.
Absolutely, first roll of the
Here we
night.
go.
All yours.
Do I have it selected? I don't think I do. No, but it's in select anyway. 15.
15's not bad. You feel this kind of serene sense of compassion and resolve kind of wash over you. It's very subtle. It's not like, this wash of power. It's just this strange, almost more powerful, positive feeling that you didn't quite have before. And you get the sense that whatever you just did, something urged you. And it approves. Roll me a d4, please.
Okie dokie. Roll 1d4. 1.
You can have 1 temporary hit point.
Oh, 1 temporary hit
I know,
point.
big money.
Where do I put that in? 1. There we go.
There's a separate bit on the sheet.
Cool. It's where it says plus temp, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. So you do, temp should vanish, and you should be able to just type 1 in. Cool. So whilst Geronimo does this, Natara, are you up to anything in particular?
No, she's just watching it skeptically.
That's absolutely fine. And Brannon, what are you doing with that bronze brazier over there?
So Brannon is leaning over the brazier and slowly going through the motions of the ritual, lighting up the incense he's got and wafting it over the top while slowly piling the charcoal inside. And after a while, as magic kind of flows around it, he's going to summon his tiny, tawny owl as he casts Find Familiar.
And so the ritual takes place, and you make sure to go through the motions that you were trained in, reading from your spellbook as you do so, until eventually the brazier begins to burn very low, almost as if absorbing up the energies and the powers that you are putting out into it. Eventually, as you complete the ritual, the fire burns very brightly for a moment, and in the kind of top of the flames, just where they flicker and peak, they begin to peel open, almost as if someone's pulling open a door from the other side, and through which there is a flutter of wings as said tawny owl emerges, kind of swoops around you once, and then comes to land very securely on your shoulder. Immediately, the flames flash back together, burning once more, and then simmer back down into kind of the regular crackle that they had before you had started your ritual.
Brannon slowly kind of tickles it underneath its beak and takes out a small piece of meat and hands it to it before turning back to the rest and go, right, I'm all done. Thank you for letting me use that.
The drow bows her head, just kind of in acceptance of your thanks.
Geronimo is going to still be sat there in his own mind, clear thoughts, looking very serene, with a light smile on his face, as if something good has happened to him. He feels happy.
Okay, with your time at the temple, or the sanctuary even, completed and having kind of bid your thanks, where are you intending to head to next?
I think, now correct me if I'm wrong, everyone else, but I feel as if it's time to go handle the job that we have elected to do for Hoot.
Yeah.
Please remind me what the job we elected to do for Hoot was.
Oh, yeah. So, as Alex said at the beginning, essentially this guy called Hoot wanted us to go deal with some criminals who are from Badgerton who've been harassing and trying, like, I think stealing stuff.
Yes.
Oh, fair. Okay.
So
sure.
and they're camped at like the south-ish end of the just south of Houndford. So we're gonna go deal with them.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where you're headed to next. You obviously bid your farewells, you depart, and you begin the journey southwards towards the mountain that sits in the kind of middle of this island that Badgerton and Houndford straddle. The walk is fairly easy. You are following, if not a well-looked-after track, at least one that is so old that it's almost seemed to have permanently scarred the landscape. This rutted, dusty, earthen, kind of winding, meandering path that seems to just move around copses of trees and small bowls in the grasslands where, in places, lakes and puddles are formed. Eventually the ground rising up and becoming more hilly and craggy as it begins to approach this large mountainous structure, flanked on all sides by the kind of first juttings up of rocky landscape, where you were directed to head to find the old mine shafts that Houndford used to survive on. Eventually, you hit a small crossroads, which indicates the mine you are looking for, kind of just off of the path you're on now. As you arrive there, you can see up ahead where some trees form, I suppose, a natural barrier to you being able to see much further ahead, though everyone give me a perception check, please.
Okie dokie.
Double 12.
Yeah.
17.
22.
15.
Those are pretty good rolls all around, so I'm happy to say that you will all notice this. In the uprising of rock further down the track, you can faintly pick out that eventually the trees seem to have some kind of clearing. Geronimo, you might have to hop onto Brandon's shoulders or something to see this, but essentially the trees kind of roll backwards. There seems to be some kind of clearing before the rock, and then at the rock itself you think you can just about make out some wooden structures, perhaps forming some kind of gate, maybe, or forming some kind of at least preliminary buildings at the mouth of the cave. That's quite difficult to tell from this distance.
Yeah, so Geronimo is going to hop onto Brannon. He's going to climb up his leg and then sort of climb up his back, kind of like a spider, and then sort of peer out over the top, noticing what the others obviously could clearly see because they're slightly taller than him. He's going to kind of tap on Brandon's head and of course the hat as well and go, "Hey, Hattie, I can see something. I can see in there's a clearing with what looks like a gate."
Aye, we can see it as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can?
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay. He's gonna climb down off Brandon. So, well, what do you think? And do we sneak through the woods and go check it out, or I mean, what's that thing that you got from the temple, Hattie? Is it some sort of? It looked like an owl to me.
Yeah, it's little Frederick, he says as he scratches it.
Frederick.
Yes.
Freddy.
Freddy.
nods.
He's quite intelligent and he can help us out. He actually might be able to help us out here, now that I think of it.
Oh, yeah?
Does this gate have any kind of gap, or is it quite sealed in like a door?
As I mentioned, you're still at some distance, and because of these trees, it's mostly obscured. This is, as I said, just a kind of wooden structure you see what appears to be at the mouth of the stone rising up ahead where the mine you reckon should be. The gate itself, any details beyond that, impossible to tell, unless you got closer.
Maybe when we get closer, but I could send him in and get him to have a look around. He's quite sneaky.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a better idea than me going over there. You never know, I could trip up like that cave. That wasn't such a good idea.
Yes, and frankly, worst comes to worst, if he does perish, I can always bring him back like I just did. Whereas with you, maybe not so much.
What, you can't bring me back in some sort of brazier?
I can't. I'm sure there's someone out there that could, but me personally, no.
Well, Hetzi, I'm gonna hold you to it. If I ever perish, you gotta bring me back with that,
Well,
or find someone who can.
Yeah, we can find someone who can.
Okay, well, I'm holding you both to it. Anyway, do your thing, Freddy.
Get closer. I'm not even sure if I can do it yet.
No, okay. You lead the way, Hetzi.
Brandon's going to try and get closer, but being sneaky about it, trying to stick to the trees and the bushes. Just so
No, Geronimo will do the same.
For those of you who wish to approach undetected, that sounds like a stealth check. So I shall roll for... Well, I shall allow you to choose. Would you like to bring your companions, Baron and Durgus? This will obviously require rolls from them as well. However, if you do so, you might have them in the fight. Otherwise, you can leave them behind and not have their rolls.
I think for now, leave the. If they were here, I would push the bulky boys to stay behind, just for now.
Okay. So
Or
you
is
want
that
the...
just while we're scouting it out? I don't.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so they stay slightly further behind while you move ahead. Absolutely fine.
Mm-hmm.
Happy with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. For stealth checks, we have a 17 from Brannon, a 21 from Natara, and a 14 from Geronimo. Again, all round, not a bad set of rolls from the party. There's a couple of nat ones you didn't get in there.
Luckily.
Very, very nice. Okay, so with some fairly attentive care, you begin to skulk off into the shade of the trees up ahead. Doing so, you start to stick to fallen trunks that have been felled. You start to stick to the shadows, the undergrowth. It requires you taking a little bit more of a circumspect route towards the wooden structure. In fact, you lose sight of where it could be a couple of times, but are able to kind of redirect yourselves very quickly and begin to approach in a fairly quiet manner. Doing so, I'm actually going to probably drag you over to a battle board. Yeah, I'd let you run over to this now.
A battle board?
Yeah, I'd say so. If I just drag you on, I can use a battle board to help kind of explain what's going on. And so Durgus isn't there. We have a Brannon, we have an Atara, and we have a Geronimo. And I would like you roughly to see about... Well, just the stream as we get there.
It feels like us coming to a battle board early is like a
very big warning sign.
No, it's like something that we never do normally. Like
No. I mean, I don't like to use battle boards a huge amount if I don't have to. But given that you've approached stealthily, those were good rolls. Certainly, as you approach this structure, there is no sign that you've been detected. Appearing at the end of the track as you make your way up behind a fairly large trunk of a tree that has been pulled over, forming this natural kind of barrier, you can see these tall towers that straddle either side of an opening in the rock, across which a palisade of wood that appears to have made a very rudimentary gate has been set up. No one appears in the parapets of the towers either side, and naturally it seems to just kind of cut off what appears to be some kind of maybe large opening in the rock. You're not really sure beyond that.
Geronimo's going to look towards Brannon now, expectingly to see if now's the time to use Freddy.
Brandon will turn around and kind of lean down against the overturned tree and taking Freddy off his shoulder and placing him in front of him. And he's going to, if I remember rightly, I need to double check this is right. Yeah, he's going to close his eyes and take perception from Freddy so he can see what Freddy sees.
Imagine that's the
I
thing.
just
Alex?
realised I was muted. Haha. Yeah, absolutely you're able to do that. Obviously, you take the perceptions of Freddy, so you kind of lose yourself for a moment, so anything that might happen to you, you'd be unaware of. Additionally, you will find an owl that has been placed next to your token that you should be able to control.
Does Brandon's face look any different whilst he's doing this?
Kind of closes his eyes and seems to just relax back into the tree. However, he can still talk, as I understand it.
Okay.
I'd need to take a look at the spell exactly. Given that you lose all perception of your body, you still being able to talk seems odd.
Might be a thing for that people have changed because I've seen
As an action, well, it's within 100 feet of you, you can communicate telepathically. As an action, you can see through your familiar's eyes and hear what it hears until the start of your next turn. Gain this benefit only special senses. During this time, you are deaf and blind with regard to your own senses. Doesn't mention you being mute, so I'd allow you to.
You can't hear what people are saying, but you can.
No, you have no idea what other people are saying, and you can't see what they're doing, but you can talk. Yeah.
Geronimo's gonna like wave a hand in front of Brandon's face and go, "Yeah, so Hetty, what happens now?" I'm just gonna
The
look at him.
owl, Freddy kind of hops around and looks at him, and out of Brandon's mouth comes, "Please don't do that. I can't actually see out of my eyes at the moment."
Oh, then how do you know I'm doing it?
The owl can see, and so I can see through him.
And Geronimo's gonna turn around and look at Freddy and go, "Oh, that's a pretty neat trick, Hetty. Yeah, you're very very smart and talented."
Thank you. Hopefully this will help us out finding things. And Freddy's going to flap his wings and slowly go up into the air and start looking around what's nearby initially, getting quite some height, and trying to stay not too in front of anything that he sees, if that makes sense. So above.
That made absolutely no sense. You want to fly? You want to fly up above it?
Yeah, he goes up high.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So you begin to rise up, and as you do so, obviously emerging from behind the tree trunk, you see this kind of stone and wood gatehouse structure. As you continue to rise, you get a rough overview. I don't know if you can see what the owl can see. Set it to friendly. Let's set it to having vision. Well, it does have vision.
You can see I'm good.
You can? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. As he does so, you kind of see out across the space, rising higher and higher. I've got to kind of move you to the other side of the stone wall there for you to be able to see because of how the boundaries work. But you see this kind of roughly rectangular shaped opening in the stonework where clearly it has been dug away over many, many years, inside of which there are the remains of a number of different mining kind of equipments, overturned mine carts, crates, most of which appear to have been smashed open, revealing the kind of handles to picks and things like that. But all in all, a fairly quiet scene. Off to the right, you can see that there is a ramp that leads down to a kind of lower bluff of rock that would take someone up onto the parapet if they were so tempted to go up there. But right now, everywhere appears quiet and abandoned and empty.
Brandon will repeat this to them, saying it's quite quiet in there. There doesn't seem to be anyone about. I think we should be able to move next through without any issue.
Oh, that's good to know. Although I don't think you can actually even hear me say
No, he's got no idea.
No, he's a thing.
And well, Geronimo says it anyway.
Okay.
Hey, Goggles, you want to go tell the others to move up? Don't worry, Goggles, I'll do it instead.
Notara also seems to be under the effect of a blindness and deafness.
Geronimo's going to go and sneakily try and get Brannon and Durgus to come through.
Yeah, as you return, you briefly overhear Durgus trying to convince Baron that he's the captain and he's the one in charge, and that there is absolutely no power behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you emerge, and he suddenly was like, let's get going then.
Nice.
Yeah, that was as much as I felt confident doing.
Are they going to do stealth rolls, I guess?
Yeah, I'm just bringing up the actors on my Foundry. They are Baron, who is going to make a stealth check. Those aren't bad. And I'm going to have to minimize these because I might have to do a lot. Please stop moving that token.
I can just see Gavin's
Durgus.
thing just moving around.
He's scouting.
Durgus is less good. But overall, as a party, you guys are okay. Okay. So, those of you still capable of hearing, be it Natara, maybe, and Geronimo, would be aware
Natara,
as...
She's no longer deaf or blind.
Okay.
She can hear now. Yeah.
Fantastic. Kind of hear as the next two approach. Now, Baron approaches fairly well. He's quite large, and he seems to lumber wherever he goes, but he does so with the quiet confidence of someone who has stalked prey before. He's certainly no professional assassin, but in the wild, even in nature like this, which is particularly wild, he moves with a grace and agility, becoming someone who is lived on the wilder side of life. Durgus, not quite so much. He continues to argue with the back of Baron, definitely saying that he is the captain now. He is 100% the captain. In fact, making a few remarks about the fact that he's unhappy that your prisoner has been treated so well these last few days because he didn't order it. Though he shuts up by the time he gets to you guys, and Brannon, he's still within those bird senses. You certainly spot like nobody emerging, that you don't hear the call of voices of people saying, "Oi, we heard something." Nothing like that. There seems to be still stillness in this camp. No sign or cause for alarm.
Brandon will again go, "Well, are we moving? You'll have to carry me. I can't really see what I'm doing at the moment."
Hey, Smallsy, you're gonna have to carry him.
Oh, I suppose I have to.
I love it.
Oh, I hope Jared is watching right now and heard that.
I'm sure he is, and I'm sure he's deeply offended. And he kind of reaches down, and you don't weigh very much, do you, Brannon?
He's a skinny boy.
You're a fairly skinny boy. What's his strength like? Oh, his strength's pretty good. He kind of throws you over one shoulder. For the duration, based on how incumbency works, we shall say that Baron cannot fight two-handed and is at half speed whilst he's carrying Brannon around. That's kind of the restrictions to having him over one shoulder. Okay. But Brannon, you are picked up.
He kind of goes, okay, well, suppose that works.
Let's, we should head inside. Apparently there's nobody there, but keep low and don't make too much noise. And, I mean you, especially Bigsy.
You're going to point towards Durgus and then start moving towards the compound.
Alright, you should shut the fuck up. Says Durgus from behind you. It's like they're really here.
They never were missing. I don't know.
Well, never mind taking applications. I'll just play all of the characters. We'll turn this into a one-man D&D show. So you're going to start skulking towards the wooden kind of entranceway there, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely fine. And I assume the rest of you are following Geronimo?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys can all move yourselves up. I'll move these three kind of en masse together about there-ish. Oh no. Perfect. Okay, so you guys skulk up fairly quietly, spying no kind of faces or anything looking out of some of the small windows that are in the square blocky towers either side of this entranceway. As you approach the wooden palisade, you find that there is a very, very, very kind of basic rope twining up round the middle to form kind of just a basic lock on the outside. Additionally, Brannon, with you turning your attention to that gateway, you see that there is a very large wooden beam sitting across the middle, kind of sealing it on this side, but it appears to open out like double doors.
While still on Baron's back, we'll go, there's a beam closing out on the other side. I don't think Frederick can really take that off.
If hey, maybe if Goggles here and then me gives Smallsy a Bigsy a boost up over the top, he can probably get over and open the latch from the inside.
So throw Durgus over the wall, eh?
Yeah, I think that's the best idea.
Sounds good to me. Although, just before we do, let me just have a look in those. There's some mine shafts, and I want to double check there's no one immediately there. And Frederick's going to fly over to the shafts one by one, starting with the one at the south, and just look inside, not go inside.
Okay, perfect. So you're moving to the southern one first.
Yeah.
Okay, as you do so, moving towards the south of these three kind of mine shaft entrances on the far side of the opening, there is a brief pause as your kind of eyes take that moment to adjust. I believe owls have dark vision.
You're 120 feet.
Yeah, that's fine. As your eyes briefly adjust just to the dark, allowing you to see deep into this shaft, which goes kind of mostly straight ahead at this level. Just slightly ahead of you, you immediately pick up the suggestion of humanoids kind of sitting around lazily in the shaft as if just trying to avoid the heat outside. It's not particularly hot, but for people who might just be sitting in a kind of dusty open space under the sun all day, maybe it's just not comfortable.
Brian will go, wait, there's people there. Can you tell how many, or is it too vague?
Are you going a little bit closer and see?
Float again, just to at the entrance and kind of land on the floor, but not go in again.
Okay. Getting a little bit closer, you pick out what look to be two figures, both obviously humanoid, one appearing far thinner than the other, though as you land yourself in that kind of entrance open way, the thinner one looks up with a kind of quirk of their head. Oh, it's an owl, you hear.
Frederick kind of hops about and starts flapping his wings to start leaving, but doesn't quite yet. He wants to listen in.
The larger figure, more burly looking one, also turns their head and pushes themselves kind of up onto their haunches. Betting you're right, you are. Looks like some kind of owl. What do you think it's doing down here, though? They don't really like caves, do they? Other one pipes up. I suppose they got to find somewhere to live. Oi! And with that, the thinner figure kind of picks up a small pebble and throws it at you. As the owl.
With the pebble thrown, he will immediately just flap up and leave and head towards the other. One of the other ones, so probably the one directly north of them.
Okay. From behind you, you hear this kind of faint chirping laughter. As if there's some amusement at throwing stones at animals, which there isn't. Moving to the middle of the three tunnels, you peer inside, and here you actually see a long stack of minecarts, all empty, that have just kind of been pushed together, though it all seems abandoned. Peering in as far as you can, moving in just a little ways, you don't spot anyone else.
And then seeing that, he'll ignore it and then flap over to the third.
The third and final tunnel, you do spot two more figures, and in fact you hear them as you're approaching before you get there. This slow, methodic thunk of two very broad, heavy individuals, one with clearly a much faster gait than the other, approaching. By the time you arrive at the entranceway to the cave, you see a fairly short, broad-looking figure wandering forwards next to a very tall, broad-looking figure, both of them quite burly and strong, muttering between themselves. Could you give me a perception check?
Is it sight or hearing? Because owls have advantage.
This would be hearing, so you'd have advantage. Yeah, you'd have advantage.
21.
21 is very good. With a 21, you pick out some kind of muttering. Something along the lines of, heard the others throw something. They've clearly been alerted to some kind of event happening just by the stone being thrown at you? The stone being thrown at you.
And last thing. Do these things look humanoid, or can I not really tell?
Still humanoid. The shorter one you reckon could possibly be a dwarf. The taller one could be looks like a bit like it could be one of those hobgoblins you saw, or it could be maybe an orc, or maybe even one of those creatures that Baron was fighting in the ring. A slightly bigger, wider, more monstrous race.
With that, Frederick will quickly leave and go land on top of the cliff above them, and Brannon will drop out and come back to himself.
Okay.
I can't put Freddy up there.
Yeah, I'll put him up there.
Oh, right. There's quite a few there's at least 4 in there, but they seem relaxed at least. 2 in the south and 2 in the north. The middle one doesn't seem like it's got anyone in it.
So, are we gonna just beat the crap out of them, or are we gonna just talk to them and maybe arrest them or something?
Should we try talking first? It might mean that we don't get in trouble.
I mean, if we don't have to risk our lives for by attacking them straight out, maybe that's the wisest decision.
Well, Geronimo, you're quite convincing quite a lot of the time. Do you want to try and talk them out of it?
Oh yeah. Don't worry, I'll talk them out of anything. For sure.
In that case, if we can get the gate open, why don't we all stay out here and we can grab them by surprise if something goes wrong, and you try and talk them down.
Okay.
From a distance.
Yeah. Just we need to get this gate open first.
He looks at Durgus.
Yeah, Geronimo's going to get ready to boost Durgus over the gate so he can...
So you're trying to boost Durgus over the gate?
Or maybe... maybe Baron, now that Brandon is free from...
Yeah, Brandon is free, can get down off of Baron's shoulder. So you want Baron to boost Durgus over the gate?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, well, no. No, we're going to do the other way around. We're going to boost Baron over the gate, and Durgus is going to help.
Okay. In which case, give me a strength check with advantage, Geronimo, if you're the one boosting.
Oh, I'm not the one boosting. Someone else is
okay, who's boosting? Who's lining themselves up to do some boosting?
Well, this is going to go bad with who's actually here who's doing it.
Well, I've got an 8, so probably someone...
So I've got an 8.
Listen,
we've all
guys,
got an 8. Oh, it doesn't even matter.
You are the weedy armed brigade. This is not a strength-strong session.
Small arm brigade.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Right, I'll roll.
You're doing it. Yeah,
With
you get advantage because Durgus would be there helping you. Brandon will move you out the way.
Let's
So.
Oh
my god!
Okay.
Nice.
So there's that kind of pause, that calm before the storm, as Baron deposits his things to one side, adjusts his axe so there's no chance of it hitting you as he runs up, and then he prepares himself. He looks as unconvinced about this situation as you do. And then with a kind of breathy count of 1, 2, 3, he runs forwards. And as he does so, your life flashes before your eyes as you see this huge human charge towards you, Geronimo. And you are not a big gnome at the best of times. Durgus is there next to you, kind of bolstering you up, ready to kind of grab at whatever part of Baron he can shove at. But your arms just buckle as Baron begins to go up. He kind of hits you with one foot. You kind of just manage to tense and push it up. Then he hits you with another one. You just manage to get to that one. And then as he goes to put his foot up on your shoulder, you just crumple down. And as Baron pushes off where he expected some kind of force or resistance for him to propel himself off of, instead it all just gives way. And his leap ends up being far worse than he was hoping it to be. He ends up kind of slamming almost into the wooden doors, causing them to swing ever so slightly on their hinges and creak and groan quite loudly as he lets out this awful kind of grunting, slamming, sighing sound, wrapping his hands as best he can around the top of these tree trunks that have been hewn down to form this gate. He manages to hold himself on and keep himself hanging from the top, but he is hanging at full armed outstretch, and the gates continue to kind of creak and move underneath his weight as they shift on their brackets. From the other side of the gate, you hear this voice go, "Oi! What the fuck was that?" Responses.
Oh, I think they heard us.
Yeah, I think they might have.
Well, maybe we shouldn't try that again.
Well, I mean, how are we going to get... Perhaps we should just, knock. Since we're just trying to talk to them, maybe just try knocking.
Yeah, but they got the advantage if they do turn sour.
Got these
Yeah,
towers.
but...
I'm worried if they have bows or something and we get stuck out here.
Why don't we hide for the moment, and then Big Z and Small Z gives me a boost and I'll open the door.
As you're having this conversation, from your right, so this tower to your south, on the battle board, you hear as one of these wooden shutters kind of rattles open on the inside of the tower. From within, those of you with dark vision, which I think is everyone bar... Actually, I think just Geronimo of the players that are here.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
No, Natara doesn't have it, but I think so. She's a...
Kalishtar. Yeah, you're basically just a mindy human, so I don't think you get dark vision.
I can cast it on myself like a spell. I got the spell for dark vision, but that's it.
That's a separate thing. So at least in the immediate, you can cast if you want, but in the immediate, you just see this kind of shadowy figure, kind of hidden away in the darkness and gloom of the tower. For Geronimo, with your dark vision able to kind of pick up more silhouettes and shades and everything comes out in that grayscale, you can see a what appears to be a slightly flat-featured, looks like an elf of some sort. The perky ears either side of the head showing through from this long, dark black hair that is kind of thrown back in this single sweeping motion and seems to almost be solidified back, waxed even, in where it is. In her hands appears to be a bow of some sort, which is just resting ever so gently on the kind of opening of the window.
Geronimo looks up. It's quite clear that she's spotted them, right?
Oh yeah, the bow is pointed at you.
Geronimo kind of puts both hands up, obviously, in sort of like surrender. He goes, hey, don't shoot, please. We came here to talk.
Did knock.
Natara looks up and just nods as well. We just knocked.
Baron is still hanging from the gate, kind of looking over one shoulder. I can't really see.
Just drop down.
You would follow said command. Staring back at you, the elf would snort quite audibly. Yeah, they all say that.
What?
They?
Knock?
They all come to talk. They never just want to talk. We tried talking.
Well, you're not talked with us.
Yeah, we're totally different. We ain't from around here.
Hi, we're not.
Give me a persuasion check, Natara. Because of Geronimo, I shall adjust the DC. It's not quite advantage, but I'll adjust the DC.
Please be the 17. Please be the 17. It's not the 17. It's the 7. Sad.
7? Well, you're certainly not from around here, but I still don't trust you in just talking. Tell me what you want quick, or I'll shoot you.
Let's not get rash. No need for shooting. We're just here because we want to avoid any violence.
There's just a silence in response to that statement.
We came here to find a amicable solution to the current problem.
Hi.
What problem would that be?
Well, there's rumors of criminals around here stealing from the town. So
Criminals? Have you tried checking out Houndford? It's full of them.
it's a matter of perspective.
And you take the perspective we're criminals, do you?
We never said that. We said that was what the rumors said.
Oh,
Why?
aye.
We never said you were a criminal at all.
And yet here you are knocking at our door.
Yeah, we've heard their side. We want to hear yours.
Can't just go and, hurting people without knowing both sides. Just don't make sense, does it?
But you can grab a hold of their gate and their door, can you?
Well,
We
didn't
tried to
know-
find a door, but we couldn't find one, and there wasn't any bell or anyone to knock. So unless you want weapons or something to hack at your gate.
You ever considered that someone without a knocker don't want to be disturbed?
Well, sometimes those who don't want to be disturbed need to talk anyways, because otherwise more problems come.
I said you could talk, and you've been talking. Now ask whatever questions you have, and get out of here.
Natara's going to gesture at Geronimo. This was clearly his forte.
Okay, Geronimo's alrighty. I'm gonna just rub my hands together. Geronimo kind of clears his throat and steps forward. He kind of looks up towards and goes, as you can see, I'm clearly the leader of this group. So I just wanted to ask why it is that you may potentially have been going around doing stuff with Houndford.
Why we might have been doing stuff with what?
Doing stealing or attacking Houndford.
We haven't been attacking Houndford. And how else do you think we managed to survive? Stealing.
Maybe-
What would you do?
Maybe we should reword it. You're from Badgerton, right?
No.
That's what they seem to think.
From Houndford. We just didn't sign up to that whole bullshit about attacking Badgerton and getting back at Badgerton and oh, woe is us, it's all Badgerton's fault. Said we didn't like it. So they ran us out of town. Said we must be spies and conspirators and all sorts of evil.
Can I insight check? Well, I can't see him, can I?
Can I insight check?
One of you can, and based on what you can see/hear, will adjust a DC.
I will. Geronimo will insight.
Okay.
Oh, insight.
Okay.
Oh,
10.
A 10?
Yeah.
From what you can tell, this elf appears to be displaying real anger. That's about as much as you can get right now. It just seems to be very bitter anger.
Geronimo kind of leans back, kind of takes a step back and kind of leans towards Brannon, kind of with a hand on one side to kind of kind of almost whisper and goes, yeah, it looks like she's pretty pissed.
Okay. Look, we're not from round here. We were in Badgerton before. Now we're in Houndford. Something completely unrelated. But what is all this? You seem to both hate each other with a passion, and there doesn't seem to be much of a reason.
We didn't think there was much of a reason either, and we got ran out of town for it. Some mumbo jumbo about the past, about how they've always been set upon each other, about how this endless fighting and this endless feud, about how each one was supposed to have the island and the other one wasn't supposed to be here that long, and they were supposed to come together into one big.
so basically some petty ancestral shit that you guys don't even have anything to do with.
Wait, can we rewind on that? You said come together into one what?
supposed to come together to like one group or something, but neither could agree which group they'd come into, so they stayed apart. So that's what the stories they tell are.
Right. And you guys are just caught up in the middle of it because you didn't want to get involved.
Not even caught up in the middle. We haven't been in. No one from Badgerton comes up here.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go back to Houndford because you're, and he puts up his hands, does the quotation marks, spies, and
Yeah,
you
aye.
can't go to Badgerton because you're from Houndford.
Aye. Sum it up pretty nicely for a smart man.
Why don't you just leave?
Aye.
How?
Well, there's
We could take you.
Aye, we got a ship.
You could go anywhere you want.
But
Trevor
where?
puts his hand in his hands. Oh, Christ, we're a ferry now.
You're off.
Well, anywhere, pal. We travel all over the place. You
Well,
could go
we're
to
heading to like what's the place where that the headsman dude was?
Farrick.
Eric. Aye.
I don't know nothing about no Farrick. Neither do any of the boys in here.
That's where
Doesn't
we're
that-
heading. And if you can't go to Badgerton and you can't go to Houndsford, why don't you just go to Farrick and find a new life?
We've been making a life out here.
You know, abandoned mine.
And what's to say you won't get us all to walk out so you can jump us?
I mean, we're talking to you, and we're not involved in this weird dispute between the towns. So, what would we get out of it?
Aye, nothing. I mean, I don't want to risk my life for some petty feud that's hundreds of years old.
I can also give you some something very precious to me that you can keep as hostage, just to sweeten the deal until we get to our ship, and obviously just show you we can be trusted.
I'd give him that, are you? She says a bit quieter than she actually said initially.
Geronimo shrugs.
Give me a persuasion check, Geronimo, with advantage.
Okie dokie. Come on. Oh, actually, I have it ticked. Hell yeah. Let's go.
Oh!
Oh, double nat 20!
Oh! The power! Power!
I think that's the first double nat 20, isn't it?
I think it might be, yeah.
I think it is. Awesome.
Jesus.
Damn. Okay. There is a pause. Suppose I could give another place a new go, but you'll have to convince the boys.
We've got a
There's
pretty
a-
big ship.
Well, there's a silence for a moment, and then you can all see as the bow is moved away from the window, and the shutter is rattled closed very, very quickly. There is about a minute in which you're kind of just left outside the gate to just muddle around with your own things, before eventually you hear the thud of the wooden beam being moved away from the brackets on the back side of the gate, and there's a call of, "You have to unwind the rope from your side."
Brandon will do so.
As you do so, eventually, the gate kind of swings inwards just a little bit, and then one of them is pulled to one side. But the elf standing, I move them all onto the battle board. You have some nice tokens to look at. Behind the gate will be 4 figures. The fairly lithe wood elf, next to a rather tall, very broad, bald-headed human, who also stands next to a very grumpy, red-headed orc with a large scar down the side of his face, and finally the very short and stout fellow with this kind of shock of white hair up in a mohawk, or Mohican, I forget which one it is, atop very ashen grey skin. Go to Zoom in so the lovely people can see.
Yeah, I already zoomed in just to have a little look. They look sick.
Yeah, oh, pretty cool.
So the gate's just opened in front of us, right?
Yeah.
Geronimo's going to look at them and kind of open his mouth at sort of like how like cool he thinks they look.
He just go, wow, they look way cooler than us.
What kind of gnome are you again, Geronimo?
I am I need to double check.
You're a rock
think
gnome?
Nice.
I think I must be a rock gnome.
You're a rock gnome?
How do I check that?
Be a subrace. It's probably under your features if you have them.
Yeah, I'm looking for it, but it doesn't really show me.
Let's see where we are.
I think I am a rock gnome.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you mentioned rock gnome.
No, there we go. To the top. Gnome rock.
Oh, gnome rock. Yeah, I'm rock gnome.
Rock gnome. Give me a history check.
A history check. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go. 20.
Ooh, 20.
Okay. Your time working in Cogwheel allowed you some opportunity to mingle with some of the other kind of trades and craftspeople that were in business partnerships with the company you worked for. In particular, ones that were involved in the extraction and refining of ores and materials that were more difficult to get at. The last figure I mentioned, the dwarf, you would recognize as being from the rather rare race of the Duragar. That would be the deep dwarves, or the dwarves that mainly live underground. An incredibly reclusive people that very rarely would come above ground for any particular reason. They are famed throughout Midden Fair, the few families that still exist. There was some kind of disease long ago that culled many of them, quite sadly. But as I said, famed for their ability to basically get into some of the most odd and considered unreachable points underground and extract enormous tons of resources. Their work was highly paid. Your company had a particular clan that was pretty much on retainer for any interesting finds. And so to see one here in the middle of, well, this island on its own is an odd sight, though perhaps not given that they were living out of a mine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, Geronimo kind of spots him and kind of like almost like he definitely points at this point. He goes,
Hey, whoa. That one's a Duragar, one of the underground dwarfs. Hey, so weird to see you out and about in the in the sun.
Over one shoulder, the Duragar has this fairly long, comparative to its size, a greatsword. At the end, it appears to be honed to cause this almost like pick shape. And for a moment, there is this almost gruff snarl as it sucks in this deep breath. Oh, hi! The voice not at all matching the appearance.
Hey, what are you doing here? I don't think I've seen one of your kind above ground ever.
I'll be honest, I don't really like it here. But, I guess they, these are my friends. And I used to work down at Houndford, but, they didn't like it. Because I came from Midden Fair, and I thought at first they were so nice, and then they weren't so nice. And now I'm here. He seems a little bit almost confused for a moment. One of his eyes seems to wander off aimlessly, and then comes back to you.
Well, hey, I'm from Cogwheel. Do you ever work there?
Cogwheel. Remind me what's out that way?
It's got the famous wheelhouse, where you can get the best pastries in whole of Midden Fair.
Oh. You ain't talking about the Cogwheel special.
Oh, of course.
Oh. The way they bake that makes my grandmama proud. God rest her.
Ain't no way you're gonna forget the wheelhouse special anytime soon. I mean, once you taste that bad boy, you're just blown away. Quite literally. I've known some people that blown up for that stuff.
Well, that's the secret ingredient they put in it. Hey, did they tell you the secret ingredient?
You think they tell me the secret ingredient? There's ain't no way they're gonna tell me.
Oh.
Otherwise, I'll be making all the money and they'll be making nothing.
Well, they told me, because they like my kind. And, well, let me tell you. You make friends with me, I'll tell you the secret ingredient. You make all for yourself. Don't need to go back to Cogwheel no more, I swear.
Yeah, you tell me the secret ingredient? No way. That's incredible. I've been searching for something to compete with the Wheelhouse for ages, because there ain't no way I'm going back to Cogwheel.
No, that's fair enough. I'm much the same. I'm much the same. Say, do you remember a girl who worked over there, Alaska?
Alaska? I think so.
What do you think of her? What did you think of her?
I'm just quickly checking my Google Doc notes just to remember if I put that name in there. Hold on,
You
where is
did,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Hold on 1 second. Let me get.
A player who doesn't remember all of their backstory off by heart? Grr.
Grr, where the hell did I put it?
Your
Oh my
NPCs
God.
are right at the bottom.
Yeah, but I'm trying to find the actual Google Doc. I can't remember where I put it. Oh my God.
You
which
mean you don't
account?
have it? You don't have it pinned as your homepage?
Should have done.
It's just not good enough.
Oh no, Jake Law found it. Oh, thank God.
I'm quaking.
I'm quaking. Yeah, where is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember Alaska. Oh yeah, she was nice, but a little bit standoffish. You know, she's a bit icy.
She was a cold-hearted bitch. Didn't like her.
Yeah, that's how most people described her.
Oh, well, I was gonna say, and as he gets into the middle of his sentence, the orc just turns and looks at him like, what the fuck? And he catches the orc's eye, and his mouth half open, he goes, I'll let my friends talk now. And he goes very quiet and looks very sullen, as if he realises he's made a faux pas in front of his friends. And they're all just like staring at him like, seriously? We were just here for all of this?
Yeah, Geronimo's kind of like almost tears welling up in his eyes as he's like being like he was just about to find out the golden truth, and it's just like nothing. He's like, okay.
He just kind of steps back.
There's a pause before the orc steps forward. He looks all of you kind of up and down. Erwald says, you're offering to take us somewhere else.
Yes. You don't seem to want to get involved in this, well, problem that these two towns seem to be having, and they want you gone, and I don't see any reason to do anything else than just offer you a trip.
Whereabouts to?
Well, we're heading to Farrick. Don't know if you know it, but if that doesn't suit your fancy, you're welcome to stay on longer until we go back further west.
Knew some ships that came in from Farrick. Ordered a couple of carts now and then. He rubs at this kind of tusk, protrudes from one side of his mouth. Stories they told were alright, I suppose. Sounded like an odd place. You know much about it?
Honestly, no. We know it's a larger town, and I know there is some problems there, but I don't want to lie to you. But honestly, there's not much I know.
You like whaling people and the upcoming demise of everything?
Wait, what?
He gives a little chuckle at your like moment of confusion. Oh, okay, yeah, you don't know Farrick at all. I suppose we could head out that way. They're always looking for craft persons. He turns and peers at his other compatriots. Not much in the way of rock and ore, though, for Erdur.
The other option is
Go on, sir.
The other option is you stay with us a bit longer, and we bring you back to the mainland when we head back that way.
Midden Fair? No, I don't want to go back to Midden Fair. Too many rich geezers wandering around, asking for things and not paying for it.
Yeah, tell me about it. Hate those people. But hey, we got a lot of room, so if you change your mind on the way to Farrick, then ain't no problem with us. As you can see, we're pretty happy-go-lucky, cheerful people. As long as you're honest and we're honest, that's kind of like a binding contract between people, ain't it?
As close to one as we get. Erwell said you had some kind of guarantee of your trust we could have. What is it?
Yeah, it's something very precious to me. So if you's got it, I ain't gonna do anything, and if I don't do anything as the leader of this ragtag bunch of people, then they ain't gonna do anything. So
What is it? Something
Geronimo, yeah, Geronimo is going to, as he sort of like says something valuable. Geronimo's going to take out tank, in its sort of like gun form, and he's going to hold it at the sort of like nozzle end. Take a few steps. Can I walk through this gate? No, I can't.
You should be able to, yeah.
He's going to walk through the gate and offer the sort of butt end towards the orc.
Okay. There is a pause as you do so, the orc looking totally confused, utterly unsure what the hell you've just handed him, as he reaches out very tentatively and takes it. He looks it over. I'm not even going to ask what this is.
Yeah, it's probably for the best that you don't, but just trust me when I say it's very precious to me.
There's a pause as he looks you over once, as if inspecting whether he thinks he should believe you or not. Alright, we keep a hold of this until Farrick's in sight. When it's in sight and we know you ain't turning back, or at the very least we can swim for the shore, you get this back.
Seems fair to me. I've been thinking about how we're supposed to get you on. Obviously, we are currently, our ship is in Houndford. Maybe there's a place further to the west, the northwest of here, where we can meet you on the shoreline and you can get on. Obviously, don't have to go through the town. Don't think that would be ending well for nobody. So,
as you say that, the human kind of pipes up. Oh, I knew a place I used to fish round there.
oh, did you?
Yeah. Old creepy beaches.
It's a unique name.
Well, it's where you take creepy beaches.
That was probably the best pun I think I heard ever. I hope you.
He looks very proud of it.
I hope. I ain't gonna finish it. I'm done. I'm done. You defeated me.
He's just got this stupid, smug, shit-eating grin on his face, as if he's super proud of what he's just said, and this is some old memory that he just loves. But the orc gives a nod of his head. All right, we can make it creepy. We can be there. He looks up at the sky. The sun has since moved to kind of just past that. No, it's probably kind of middle of the afternoon, getting on to the early evening now. The sun is beginning its descent, though there still seems to be a couple of hours of daylight left. It was about half a day's march out here. Do you want to try and beach in the night, or are we doing this tomorrow?
I think we have one extra thing to check in on, so it might have to be tomorrow. But otherwise, is there anyone? We're pretty much going to tell everyone in town that you're dead. Is there anyone you would rather know the truth?
There's a pause before you see Erwill's eyes shift briefly to the orc, and before getting any kind of, I suppose, permission to say what she's going to say. Runelring. You could talk to Runelring for me.
Runelring, I'm afraid I don't know the name.
She's the Sanctic from Arxia.
Oh, of course, yes. Yeah, we can let her know.
Just say where I'm going and leave it at that.
Of course, we can do that.
The orc looks thoroughly pissed off at the idea that their whereabouts will be known, but doesn't offer any kind of countermand or the like. So he just says, "We can be down at the beaches by tomorrow morning. We'll camp out until noon. Keep our eyes peeled, and if you don't show up, then I think we'll be returning here."
No worries. We'll be there before noon tomorrow.
Kurt nodded the head, and as you come to this formal business-like arrangement, I think we're going to take our first break. So we shall go grab our drinks and go for our peepees, and we shall be back anon, hopefully within the next 10 minutes. Okay? Hello and welcome back to Pact of the GM. We have had our break, enjoyed our munchies, and we are ready to pick up exactly where we left off with the agreement made to take these 4 criminal scums off the island that Houndford and Badgerton sit upon and to the city of Farrick, which is fairly nearby. Players, can I assume safely that we are making our way back to Houndford following that agreement?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, if you are travelling in the same evening, that is going to take you overnight, remember. So you guys are going to stop and have dinner on the way? You're just going to march through the night? How are you vibing this? Half a day. So if it's if it's the early evening now, you look like you're going to be kind of arriving in the morning tomorrow.
I think it probably. I mean, if anyone disagrees, go ahead. But I think it might be easier if we just walk it and then stay where we know we're not going to get attacked by wild animals.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
If you're marching through the night, then I would like everyone to add a level of exhaustion, please.
Oh no, disadvantage. Where do I click this? Exhaustion 1.
1.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. And could you all please give me perception checks?
Have one for Frederick as well, because he's still about.
Go for it. You should be able to find his sheet in there. 4, 16, 15. Okay.
17 as well from Natara, I think.
Okay. Okay. Alright. Making your way through the grasslands and the forests, you continue down the sloping, meandering track that you were following once before. It carries you deep into the night, and as you eventually get into that pitch black, immediately there's that almost enclosing sense of anxiety. Not for any particular reason outside of the natural ones, of course. There is just that fact that it's difficult to see beyond too far. Even Geronimo with his night vision, still, it's shades of grey and it's still not great perception you've got out there. For the rest of you and those that don't have it, it's obviously even more concerning. You might light torches or your lanterns as you go, which help, but still there's the sounds of beasts and creatures all around you. This island is most certainly still very well lived in by the natural world, especially probably considering the stagnating and shrinking form of the civilized places. Moving through the night, your limbs begin to ache. You have that dull, almost sluggish drag of the feet. Everything just seems that little bit harder as you finally trudge your way into Houndford. Returning, you get some odd looks from people around the village, some of whom recognize you as being those odd folk that turned up that one time. Nobody gives you the same sort of welcome. There's no waving, there's no kind of asking you if you have money to buy their things. They just kind of watch you approach and move on past. Whereabouts in Houndford are you to go to?
What time is it at the minute?
Early-ish morning. Certainly not super early, it's not sun's just up. The first couple of hours of the morning, people are beginning to get to work or to start work.
I think we'll go to the temple first to speak to the priestess there.
So you're fine. We activate the village map, and I'm super cheeky. Stream to see the nice village map as well.
Oh, an
Would you
actual
look at that?
picture of Houndford.
Houndford, the village. The sanctuary to Marxia being up here, marked B. Returning, you follow the main highway through the town, passing by the central square, as I shall give us some medieval village sounds.
Oh, just to as a reminder, we spoke to someone who said that the ghost's ex-boyfriend had gone off elsewhere, hadn't he?
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
To a city. Aurello's spine had gone with a girl to a city.
To a city. Okay.
Yes, you asked whether it was Farrick or somewhere else, and you were told it could have been New Haven or Farrick. They're both fairly large cities in the vicinity.
Cool. Yeah, just reminding myself.
No
Okay.
problem.
Yeah, Geronimo's gonna sort of like enter into the Temple of Marxia and sort of look towards Brannon, and kind of like you basically sort of like with when your fingers when you're sort of doing your eyes, their eyes, kind of thing. He does that towards Brannon and then points towards the priestess if she's around.
Kind of takes a moment and then goes, "Oh, right," and walks towards the priestess.
She is currently going through her morning rituals. She appears to be cleaning the two statues that sit kind of proudly at the back in the center of the space. Additionally, I just realized I need to turn up my village music stream. There we go. Additionally, she seems to have foregone the long flowing robes from yesterday and instead is in this far more utilitarian, almost kind of like brown tunic setup, covered in kind of muck and grime and stuff from where she's been hard at work, maintaining the luster and look of this temple in amongst a village that is slowly decaying.
Okay. I stand to one side and says, "Sorry, I don't mean to disturb. I wonder if I could just bother you for."
In response, she pushes herself kind of upright, drops what looks to be a sodden cloth into a pail of water, pushes her hands back through her hair, kind of throws it back over her head. She offers you a slight glower. Not necessarily because she's annoyed with you, but just she looks a little bit unhappy with the whole volume of work and just the essentially that feeling of not wanting to do chores that I'm sure is universal. Eventually she hauls herself upright, wrings her hands together as if trying to wear out some strain or some kind of ache before nodding her head. Yes, you are not bothering. What guidance may I offer?
Not so much guidance as actually I've got information for you. I'm not sure if you're probably aware of a group of 4 who've been deemed criminals and spies for Badgerton who have been hiding out in the mine.
I am aware of some malcontents who fled, yes.
He looks around, double checks. Is there anyone else other than us and her in there?
At one of the pews, right at the very far back, sitting very quietly, hands kind of clutched together as if caught lost in prayer, there appears to be a lone figure, just waiting and looking for some sanctitude. But they do not appear kind of within any kind of audible range of you, clearly very caught up in whatever drama has brought them to religion.
He slowly edges away from them just to make sure that they're not in earshot. He goes, I believe you knew one of them?
You're going to have to speak up, dude. Even I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, that's my mic being annoying again. I believe you knew one of them rather well?
All 4 were visitors to the sanctuary.
Okay, well, we were told to deal with them, and I'm sure you know what that entails. And I was told to inform you that we've offered them passage elsewhere.
I see. Where in particular? A stern look that appeared to be harsh and almost accusatory has become momentarily awash with confusion and anxiety.
Currently Farrick. They will meet us, come on our ship, and we will get them away from the Isle. Though that may change. They may decide to go elsewhere, but they said to tell you Farrick.
I shall keep this secret that you have shared with me. I think it is only right. I wouldn't want the manager taking any kind of recourse against you, though I'm sure this is not what he wanted.
No, but I'm sure you agree that it's better to try and avoid violence if you can.
Aye, surely it's better than bloodshed.
So the Porcelain Queen teaches us. Yes.
I won't keep you. That was what we were told to tell you. We must be off. I'll leave you to your duties. And he turns around and quickly makes his leave.
Geronimo's gonna bow towards her and go, and may the porcelain lady bless you.
That disgusted look you got before, when you called an altar a table, doesn't return this time. She offers a very slight quirk of the head downwards in departure, and watches as you go as a group, seemingly a little at a loss for what to do with the encounter you've just given, but certainly makes no move to stop you or anything.
All I know is that the more people we tell where we're going, the more chance Reginald is going to come up my asshole.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Obligations 100% do not have adjusting odds of appearing. No way, Jose. Your actions do not matter in this world.
I'm sad right now. Oh well, let's go.
Saying if we don't make it to Farrak and he appears on us, and we've got an extra 4 people helping us.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, he'll have to fight our pirate crew.
We've got a small army defending you now.
All I'm saying is that will be a fight for the century.
Yeah. Anyway.
Where you'll be playing 8 parts. And fighting your own NPCs.
I'm not doing that. That doesn't sound fun at all.
It's gonna be so funny.
Yeah. Rigged.
Rigged from the start.
Alright, yeah, Geronimo's gonna leave, and as the others kind of come outside, we go. He'll look to them and go.
So I think we should go talk to the manager now, and then get to the boat.
We should probably get a move on. Don't want them to miss our meeting. In fact, are you good to sort this, and I'll get the boat ready so we can just get a move on. It's been a while since we checked in on our little guest.
Yay, no problem. I'll go talk to him.
Okay. So, we have Brannon heading to the boat to check on the prisoner.
Yep.
Is everyone else going with Geronimo to meet with Hoot? So Natara is. Where do you want to send Baron and Durgus?
To go help prepare the ship, I think, probably.
Okay, so they're readying you for leaving. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay. We shall do Hoot first. So Hoot is exactly where you left him last time, which is in the midst of taking supplicants or visitations from the citizens of Houndford in the coach house. The queue is much shorter today, especially this early into the morning, and so as you join it, there's only a couple of farmers in front of you who are basically turning up hat in hand to say that their harvest has not produced the yield they expected and they'd like extensions on loans, which Hoot seems to grant quite gracefully. When it comes to your turn, he looks up, and immediately these kind of wings fold together very attentively, almost like a dog that's just noticed you might have a treat, and he watches you very closely with these wizened eyes.
Geronimo's going to approach and go, hey, Manager Hoot, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. Have you completed the work we talked about?
Yeah. We've removed your problem.
And do you have proof of the deed?
Well, I could tell you exactly what they were. I didn't take anything from them, though. If they're citizens of Houndford, I suppose that's your property.
And you left the bodies at the mine?
Yeah, but I imagine that the birds are going to pick them dry soon. They should all be there.
I'll send someone out this evening. If you're willing to wait, then I'll give you all the money once we've confirmed them dead. Otherwise, I'm willing to give you a quarter now.
I'll take a quarter now.
He narrows his eyes as if trying to judge you up. Could you give me a deception roll?
Of course.
Something I know you're fantastic at.
Oh no!
Oh!
Oh,
18?
it's good. It's
Oh.
good.
Now, Geronimo, your face often leads you astray as it just reveals what you're feeling, but you are stone cold today. As you look Hoot dead in the eye, you manage to suppress any kind of glimmer of a smirk that you're pulling one over on the old man or anything like that.
Mhm.
And after a few seconds, he nods his head, seemingly reassured that he thinks he's sized you up accurately. As he goes, "Quarter now, then. Full payment when we confirm the deed." One moment, and you hear a rattle of a drawer as it's slid open. There's the kind of jangle of some coin purses being moved around, and then one by one, 25 gold pieces are stacked up on the table in sets of 5 before being pushed towards you. 5 of them in total.
So we've got 25. Yeah, 25.
That is
gold.
25 gold, which is a quarter of the 100 you were promised for proof of them being dead.
Okay, let me just 25. So
Between
be-
5 of you, that would be 5 each. I did the maths for you.
okay, yeah, everyone put 5 each in there, so I don't have to do any of the. So I'll just pretend that you get it all.
Mhm.
Just
Alrighty,
pretend in a pretend game. What?
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Crazy.
I'll also add Durgus and Barons now, so they don't need to
Awesome.
think about it, and you don't have to either.
Nice. Geronimo, takes the money and kind of gives him a nod and goes, "Yeah, it was a pleasure working with you. And I hope I will be. Well, I suppose unless it takes forever, we're heading off soon, so we'll be about. Just come find us at the docks."
If you've departed by the time we confirm, I'm happy to put the check in your name for you to collect.
Yeah, that sounds totally fine with me.
The full name to put on the account.
You could put Hammer.
That wasn't how you introduced yourself.
Oh, that's one of my nicknames.
I thought Toast was your nickname.
Toast or Hammer. You can choose both. You can put Toast
He
on there
has
if you like.
several.
Okay. You can see him quickly scribble out the words Toast or Hammer onto a smaller kind of piece of parchment, which he then takes and tucks neatly into the top of a small bag of coin, which he then ties shut, and he drops into a different drawer, which he then slams shut and locks with a key. There we go. 75 gold coins put aside. Confirmation of the job.
Okie dokie. Well, thank you and have a nice day.
You too. You too. He gives a little nodding, and then bows his head towards Natara as well.
Geronimo will nod voraciously and then turn around and kind of leave.
Okay. Meanwhile, in the League of Shadows, Brannon, you have returned to the ship at the head of Baron and Durgus, both of whom immediately throw themselves into the enviable task of readying the ship for sail. Hoisting at mainsails, playing around with the anchor, swabbing the poop deck, all sorts of nautical things that I definitely know a lot about. Meanwhile, you head below deck, in fact, to one of the hammocks, where your prisoner is still lying in a better condition. And in fact, as we move to the ship, I shall shift us over to some ship music instead. In a better condition than when you first found her, though still evidently very weak. She lays there, not totally limply, instead lethargically reading over, it looks to be some kind of scroll that she's been given. As you descend the stair or descend the ladder into the kind of crew cabin area, she looks up at you briefly, snorts her disgust, and then goes back to reading what she has in her hands.
Brandon will head up to her, and then keeping a good 5-foot distance, doesn't want to invade her personal space. Have you been fed?
Got given some cold porridge.
Fine. I'll sort something else more substantial. And how are you feeling?
Head hurts. Mouth's
Anything else?
dry.
At all?
She doesn't seem to want to talk any further than that, at least about this subject.
Look, I'm not asking for your pleasure. I'm asking so I can keep you alive. So answer the question.
There's a stabbing pain on my right eye here. She kind of points to roughly where her crown is. Pushing like back from there forwards to behind my eye. Really hurts. Just a headache.
He will assume that that's meant in that she actually has it and it's not him causing it. Fine. I will get you some food and something to drink. She's just laying in the bed. She's not cuffed up or anything, is she?
One of her feet is tied, so obviously it's a hammock. One of her feet is tied up to the post at the bottom end. It's not particularly effective, but it's the kind of thing where someone might have to take a minute or so to kind of undo it. And on a ship where you're moving past people quite often, obviously you've got Rankle and the Lovers, who are also kind of permanently on the ship. Really, it's a somewhat effective deterrent because just she has to spend a minute or so untying herself before she can get anywhere, and that's pretty obvious.
In that case, he'll go around, gather up some water and maybe some food, rations, dried meat, that kind of thing, and give that to her before gathering up his own things and hopping in his own hammock, keeping himself relatively close to her.
Okay. She accepts the food and scoffs it down quite quickly, as she does so with the water you provide. Before she kind of watches you as you settle yourself down, clearly expecting some kind of tirade or interrogation or something like that. Though when it's not immediately forthcoming, she returns her attention back to the scroll which she was reading.
He takes a while just to make sure that she's not panicking or anything, and then, what are you reading?
Piece of paper.
Can't be that interesting if that's how you describe it.
Rolt gave it to me.
Do you want something better? I can get you some books.
This is fine. Some story about some tabaxi went around stealing money from rich folk, giving it to other people.
Very well. I won't bother you again. I will have more questions, but I'll leave you be for now. And he goes back. It goes back to start jotting down some notes on their adventures over the last couple of days.
Your moment of kindness might be remembered. With this brief interlude over, and with Natara and Geronimo rejoining the ship, as Durgus and Barrand finish making it ready to sail with the help of Rolt, you guys are left in a bit of a quandary, although not much of a quandary, since I think you pretty much agreed where you're going to go. South.
Yeah.
To the crazy beaches. Just a little ways. To the crazy beaches.
Wasn't it the creepy beaches?
Creepy beaches, my goodness, it was.
I only remember because of the pun.
Yeah. So to the creepy beaches, to the kind of southwest around the island, and then off to Farrick, yeah?
Yes, I believe so. Geronimo would, on the boat, approach Brannon and the gang. Obviously, Natara could be there as well. And go, so I got a quarter of the money because they wanted to confirm the deaths before giving the others.
Shit, we should have probably thought of that.
It ain't no bother. We got the money. We got some of the money.
We couldn't really ask him for like a finger or, a head, could we? So, we got some of it.
I think if we turn up with a finger now, I'd probably just ask more questions.
Aye.
Yeah, there's no point. I think we pick them up and then we skedaddle. The
The manager said he'd hold the money for us if we depart. We can come pick it up another time. I know which drawer he put it in, but it's up to them whether they decide we actually did the deed. But I said that the bodies were outside. So when he
Wait,
asked me,
you said the bodies were there.
what else am I meant to say?
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I told them that the bodies were there, but I said that there were lots of birds around. So who knows what they might find?
Well, I suppose we could always. I don't know. Maybe we should just write Houndford off.
Yeah, I to be honest, I ain't massively keen on returning, so it ain't no bother for me.
Well, I suppose we've thrown our lot in with Badgerton if we ever come back to the island.
Yeah, or we find a way to sneak in, pick the lock, steal that 75 gold that was owed to us for fixing the problem. Maybe that's a solution. But anyway, let's go meet up at the creepy beaches with our creepy beaches. He kind of looks towards Durgus and Baron at this point.
Oh yeah, fuck you, says says Durgus in a still moving Irish accent, whilst Baron looks at you in a kind of distant ways and goes, "That wasn't very nice." Still sailing slightly to the west and then further south, Houndford falls behind you a little ways. It's still actually within sight, not quite on the horizon, as you pull up to this kind of winding set of beachy shores. It's the only real beach that you've come across sailing around the island, and in fact you passed it to get to Houndford, sorry. So it wasn't too particularly hard to find. And as you come close to it, you do notice the slim figure of the elf, Erwil, come jogging down onto the beach and kind of wave you down, you to pull up anchor very quickly. As you do so, and before you have a chance to even think or discuss how you're going to get them on board, the four of them come bursting out of or the three of them, Will is still down on the beach, come bursting from the tree cover, running down almost as quickly as they can, wade straight in and splash into the sea as they basically just swim their way over, and eventually haul themselves up via the rigging and the rope and whatnot to join you up on the deck. By the time they're all up there, they look like a bunch of soggy sailors, kind of miserable, as just water just cascades off of these drenched clothes down onto the ground. Even the Jurigar's mohawk is basically flattened to his head in these long, almost like clumpy, white sections of stickiness. Whatever product he put in his hair to keep it there has not reacted well to the excessive salty water.
Brandon's going to look over the edge of the boat and off into the shore. Does it look like anyone's chasing them?
You can look and give me a perception check. You can have advantage.
Could you roll for me? I'm still loading.
Yeah, of course I can. You are a player character. Your name is Brannon, and you have perception with advantage. That's a 20 and a 13.
Ooh.
So that's a 19 with your -1. You look out and you wait a few moments, and no one comes out. They don't appear to be being chased at all. You kind of look up and down the beach. You look as closely as you can into the canopy of the trees they came from. Nothing. Every now and again you kind of think, oh, is that something? It's not. It's just a bird that kind of flew from one tree to another. Absolutely nothing. They don't appear to be chased by anything.
Offering some help to get them up onto the ship if they're not up there already. He kind of turns to whichever comes up first and goes, Why are you running? We have a boat.
Can never be too careful, says the orc. Could have been some kind of trap. Worst case, we get out here, then you spring it, we just run back and we're already warmed up.
You're quite paranoid, aren't you?
What do you value more than your life?
Well, I mean, I get why he's paranoid and stuff.
I suppose. And
Well, I mean,
that's
we
a
were
fair
kind of...
point.
He did want us to kill him, you know.
That's fair. Okay, fair enough. Sorry.
He looks confused as you apologise, but then just nods his head and goes, "Told you look like a smart fella." Anyways, are we getting going? Are we sailing ahead? He kind of looks around now, uncertain as to what to do.
Yeah. Well, first of all, welcome to my boat. I am I'm the captain, but you don't tell the dwarf, okay? The other dwarf.
As you say that, there is a yell from behind. "It's not your bloody boat!" From Durgus, who is behind you, who begins to spill off this tirade of slurs and hate speech against you about the fact that he is in fact the captain.
Yeah, Geronimo yelps and then, aye, Captain. And he kind of walks to the side.
Placated by your submission to his captainhood, Durgus then begrudges you the duty of introducing them to the ship.
Yeah, Geronimo would hurry them to the other side and kind of show them around.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so showing them around commences, allowing you an opportunity to, I assume, turn and set sail for Farrick.
I believe so.
Wait, no, hang on. Will we get copyright struck if I do that?
I don't think humming it will do it.
You actually have 15 seconds you can play of anything, so it's fine. Go on, hum away.
No, I feel
But for
like
15 seconds.
No,
Well, 10. He's already done a couple.
If I do it so quickly, it's indecipherable. Then that can't count, surely.
No, we just make up our own music.
Our own music. Now listen, if only we had a musician in the party
I know, right?
who
If only
could
we had somebody
who could
that,
produce
you know,
an actual theme song for
produce
us to
their own
have.
songs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
imagine if
Someone
that.
who promised to make one and then...
Yeah.
God, can you imagine?
God, who is that?
Who is that man?
Yeah.
But-
Nobody will know.
No, absolutely not. But in the meantime, I will move us over to the world map. People can kind of see roughly the journey we'll be making. There
So
we
I'm
go.
assuming we're turning back on ourselves. And
Yeah,
then
so
going-
you'll be about there-ish, roughly where that kind of blocky, outy bit comes there.
So 30 miles. 30 miles. How many miles is that?
109, 110-ish.
Nice.
So that's 4 and a bit days of plain sailing.
Do I get to click the long rest button?
As you set off, you may all click the long rest button, which means Geronimo will lose his temporary hit points, but you will lose that level of exhaustion.
You have to do that manually, though.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, take that long rest, recover your spell slots, recover your hit dice, any hit points. I don't think you're low at all on most things, but definitely a long rest. Just make sure you are fully recovered on everything. As you begin your journey outwards.
Were we counting rations on the ship again? I can't remember.
For now, you don't need to. However, as soon as rations begin to become something that you should monitor, I will let you know. For now, consider it something that you just have in abundance. As soon as you get to within, I'll say, a week, I will let you know, and from then we'll start managing it. But for now, I want this kind of starter area to be more about you visiting different places and experiencing that stuff, and less about you monitoring the ship and your stats and stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
If you guys decide that's something you want to do, we can bring it in. If we do bring it in and you decide you actually hate it, we'll get rid of it. That's more about fun for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. During the 4 days, are there any particular tasks that you guys would like to get up to that might take, you think, your downtime activity, something you might do when you're not wandering around adventuring?
I think probably, maybe not the first day of travel, but probably the second. Brennan would go back to talk to Raya, but if anyone wants to do anything else, they can do that first.
Yeah, Geronimo wants to talk to Natara.
Okay. Is there anything else Geronimo wants to do? I'm not saying don't do that. I just want to double check so there's anything I can plan for, or is it just the conversation with Natara?
Just the conversation. I think he'll just do general sort of fixing of the boat with the wood carving tools and making sure that everything's kind of up to date, making sure that the bed is stable for him and Durgus, everything like that. I mean, they came out quite wrong, but well, not
No,
wrong. But like,
everything comes out right, and I also
Yeah.
appreciate the ambient sound of the sea dogs in the background. There.
yeah, the sea dog in the background.
The sea dog,
Well,
a well-known piece of mythos from this canon world, in which sea,
Murdoch.
a murdoch.
There is one
riding-
other thing that Brannon would like to do.
Yep.
At some point, from whichever one seems the most chatty, so probably the elf.
Mhm.
He would like to try and get like a summary written version of what the hell is happening between Houndford and Badgerton and that story.
Okay, so summary. So what, you're doing it like an interview, and you're just going to record it.
Yeah, kind of, basically.
Good. And Natara, anything in particular you'd like to do with your kind of downtime? Is there any tasks or research or anything you want to get up to during these kind of days at sea?
No, she's just gonna note down whatever they've done in her like little book.
Okay, record a little
Basically,
journal.
just like she's just recording it. That's right.
Okay. In which case, what we will do is, if we jump through these interactions. I don't want to rush them. Let's have Geronimo's discussion with Tara first, because I want to allow you guys to roleplay amongst yourselves with more freedom than anything with NPCs. So if you guys just go, depending on what time you feel that you finish, we might take our second break, and from there on, we'll then get on with whatever's left over, and possibly even some sea encounters. Ooh. Or maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, so if we start with Geronimo seeking out Natara.
Yeah, Geronimo's going to walk up to Natara, sort of like, let's say, midday during one of the days. I imagine she's probably like in her notes, like writing something down. He's going to kind of trudge up to her and go, hey, Goggles, you got a minute?
I do. What's up?
So, I've been thinking. Me and you, I kind of get a sort of kindred spirit in the sense that you're a bit more free than the others. And, well, you see, I'm pretty worried about that Reginald guy. And we're leaving quite a big trail. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty worried that I ain't going to find a way to stop that the company from mass producing my invention. I'm worried I'm gonna, kick the bucket before then.
Okay. Well, what do you think we should do? I mean, the bounty hunter Reginald, you're right. We are leaving a pretty big trail, but again, he is one guy, and how many people do we got on this ship right now?
Yeah, we got quite a few, but he seemed like quite a strong individual. He came alone. He made himself known. Somebody with those kind of balls. He's probably got a lot of truth and merit behind it.
Aye, but did you know that one of the strongest like insects in the world are ants? Because there's so many.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I ain't.
Aye, there's so many. Sure, they're tiny, but there's so many. And well, how many are we now? There's obviously us, but then there's the new people. There were 4.
Yeah, but they're getting off, ain't they? They're going. They're leaving.
Well, yeah, assuming like he doesn't catch us before then. But we've made friends, we've helped people, and we've learned like a few things or two as well, haven't we?
Yeah, that's for sure. But what I was thinking about is, and I wondered if I could help you with it. Well, you could help me with it. I think you're one of the people that I can trust to do this when we got some downtime, maybe in Farrick.
Aye, what do you have in mind?
Well, I kind of wanted to throw him off the trail,
Aye, yeah.
And but I don't really want the others to know. I kind of want you to do it alone, so that it's kind of less risk. So me and you can maybe make up a rumor of Toast going somewhere else other than wherever else we go to. Maybe maybe he finds his end in Farrick or something like that. At least to throw Reginald off.
Oh, or we could fake your death.
Yeah, that's true, but I'm a bit too explosive a personality for anyone to believe that.
Aye, true. But yeah, no, we can try and throw him off the trail. Perhaps some started rumors of around Farrick. Aye, we could do that.
Maybe that organization you work for, Shade, can help.
I can write a few letters, see if they can do something. Aye.
That would be swell, Goggles. I really think it might save my life.
Obviously, need to get to the mainland before they can be sent. But I can try.
Ain't they got a post near Farrick, or is it all on Midden Fair?
Well, they're everywhere, so they might well have a post down near Farrick. I just don't know about it.
That's fair. Okay, well, hey, that makes me feel real happy, Goggles. I appreciate it.
No, don't worry. We're not going to let that blow kill you.
I hope so. I'm too young to die. You wait.
Die. Way too young to die.
I still got and he kind of counts on his fingers. I still got like 400 years of life left.
400? Oh, I forget. You guys live a bit longer than we do, don't you?
Yeah, but it still don't mean my life ain't precious. Precious moments.
Hi.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go and fix things. So see ya. And Jerome's gonna turn around and leave.
And with that as a conversation, a very interesting one, I think we will actually take our break here. So when we come back, we will jump through Brannon's conversation with Raya and Erwell. And Geronimo, was there something else you said you wanted to do, or was it just the two with Brannon? No, it was just the two with Brannon.
Just fixing stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so it'll be those two conversations that Brannon wants to have, and then we'll continue on our journey. So yeah, we'll take a break now, go take our peepees and snacks again, and then we shall be back shortly to reconvene.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. We are glad to be back as we return to our journey across the sea. And by across the sea, I mean island hopping our way towards Farrick. Last we left off, Geronimo had just finished a little conversation with Ntara, and we are jumping back for a little bit more of that social interaction that we love to see between Brannon and some NPCs. The first one being Rhea, the prisoner taken all the way back in Storia. Rhea herself is still looking a little healthier. She seems to have stopped complaining about the headache, though appears to have finished with the scroll, which is now discarded haphazardly to one side of the hammock, which she just sort of sways in very gently in time with the movement of the ship.
Before he goes up to her, when he looked over the ship, would he have found any, not like a lot, but maybe a bit of alcohol?
Give me an investigation check with advantage.
Okay. $21.
21's very good. Having been around the ship a couple of times now, looked around, you did eventually find a plank of wood in which the nails hadn't been quite kind of hammered in to the same degree as the boards around it. Pulling that board back, you found a small kind of hiding space, inside of which there appeared to be two kind of flasks. Popping the cork off of each, you don't need Durgis's expertise in brewing of barley to realise that this is some fairly strong liquor. It could be a rum or something, but it's got that that kind of acidity of I was about to say a homebrew rum.
He would have taken one of them, deposited it in his bag, and then taken the other and walked up, grabbing some mugs or glasses or whatever kind of container he can find, and go to Raya and offer her one glass.
She looks at it disdainfully at first, convinced perhaps that you might try and poison her, before giving it a sniff and almost retching. What the fuck is that?
That is rum, I think. I'm not sure. Found it under a plank. If you don't like it, I wouldn't blame you, but I'm going to have a bit.
It smells vile. Though, as she
Yes.
says that, she still is holding the glass in her hand.
Yeah, I might water it down with some water, keep the edge off. Do you want some?
She pauses before holding the glass out towards you.
And he'll pour a little bit of water in there and then do the same with his.
She swirls it around a bit, lifts up, still grimaces but less so than before, looks at you, and then in one big gulp throws the glass back, tips all of the drink back into her, and just downs it. A moment later she drops the glass, gives this kind of heavy, almost deep sigh as if trying to swallow it, splutters a little bit, and then gives a little burp.
Been a while since you've had a drink, I'm guessing.
Oh, that shit stings. Yes. Oh.
Brandon will take a sip, recline a little bit from the taste, and then carry on sipping. But he will not knock his back. Do you want another?
No, I don't want any more. She just drops her glass on the side, and there's that kind of rattle where you're not quite sure whether the glass is going to break or not, but it seems to hold itself intact as it rolls off down the floorboards.
He takes a couple more sips, waiting a minute for it to kind of settle in, and then turns to and goes, "So I've got a couple questions. I'm hoping I'm not bothering you too much."
She looks at you, almost sorrowfully for a moment, before she looks around her. As you can see from my long list of retainers, I've got so much going on right now.
He gives a little smirk. "Yes, I'm sorry for dragging you away from all your work." So, first question. I'm not going to ask about your faith or anything like that. When did you join this group?
Didn't ever join, always been a part. Eternal, you know, like it all is.
So even when you were a child, you were with the faith.
Suppose. It's just what I've always known. They're coming back, you know. All of them. He's
do you mean?
first.
Who's coming back?
They're gonna rise, see? From belief. They're all a slumber. They're dead and dreaming, and they're gonna come back.
Okay, and he's noting this down idly as she says this.
Mm-hmm.
What do the people who taught you this? What do they tell you about us? The people who aren't part of your group.
You mean all of the folk, or you specifically?
Oh, not us specifically. I'm sure the words about us specifically are a lot less kind.
Particularly kind about other people. Guess you could call them stupid. Morons. People who don't understand, who don't want to see. People who have forgotten. That's why they slumber, because no one remembers them. But we do. And if we remember them just loud enough, we can get through that fuzz, that haze that comes down on everything that's not quite conscious.
So, they are your gods? Is that the right word to use?
Not my gods. They're the gods. The only ones that matter.
Oh, okay. I suppose what do you believe? I mean, do you believe other gods exist then, or that it's just not a thing?
I mean, they exist. Sure, but they're not gods. Not in the same way that they are.
No, I'm not trying to get you to change your beliefs. I'm just asking a question. What if you were wrong?
But I'm not.
Granted, fine. I'm not trying to convince you, but hypothetical. You know what that is?
Yes.
I'm not, hypothetically, what if they weren't the only ones?
But they are. Like, you're asking a question like that's the same as saying, what if water weren't water?
I suppose, but most people believe water is water, whereas a vast majority of people believe that your gods are not the only ones. And you must believe there's a reason for that.
Not that they don't believe they're the only ones, it's the people have forgotten about them. It's nothing to do with failure to believe, it's failure to comprehend. Failure to see.
Right. Very well, I suppose that makes sense. And what if someone like me were to want to find and start to believe? What would I look for? What would I read? Where would I go?
At this questioning, give me a persuasion check, please.
Okay.
Those are some okay dice rolls.
Mhm.
With a 14. There is a pause, as if she's weighing up what she can and can't tell you. Just gotta listen out when you're dreaming. Push your attention someplace else. Focus on what's there, but not quite there. Something on the edge of what you can see. When you start picking up on those little voices that normally you squash down, the people shouting in the street, just one street, or you can't quite hear them, those sorts of things, you'll find their dreams are nearer than we think.
Okay. That sounds like meditation, which a lot of religions do.
Meditation's
something-
pish. Meditation. So it's all about calm and finding centre. It's nothing to do with that. We've got to be loud. We've got to be brash. How do you wake up someone who's sleeping? Sit quietly next to them? No. You call out to them.
Is there any places I can go to where this shouting would be more likely heard?
Find shards.
Shards?
Shards. Pieces of the Evans. Pieces of the Immaterium solidified into crystals, nesting around the world. That's where you hear it most.
And where would I find one of these, if I can know?
Can't say they're all rightly known. Most famous ones in Demiwa. That's far, far to the north.
Is there any nearer?
Not that I've been to.
Hmm.
Could
What
be.
if I was to tell you that I intend to find one?
Good luck.
Would you help me?
No,
Why not?
because you don't want it for the faith. You don't believe. You're not one of those believing sorts. Asking all these questions. You don't know.
True, but what if I wanted to try?
And you got a long way down to go. Your friend, that funny one with the big axe, he knows more about it.
Right. In that case, then, I'll leave you be. I think I've got enough for now. Do you want another drink before I go?
Take all of it if it's going.
I think I might save some of it for later. I'll give you one more.
This is kind of chuckling as you pour out another one and water it down a little bit, and then she nurses that one more slowly as you head off for your wherever else you're going.
I suppose it probably would be to... Actually, I'll probably check in with the others and repeat that information.
Okay.
Although that might have to wait since Baron is the one I want to talk to.
Yeah, you could be ruminating on what you've heard until narratively you can communicate with Baron. Or Baron could be busy whilst you discuss it with Natara. Let's say Baron and Durgus are currently figuring out why the bunk bed that Geronimo and Durgus share has collapsed. And Geronimo is with Natara or something. We can do that.
Yeah, I'll go see Geronimo and Natara at least.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up to wherever they are. Well, I've just had an interesting conversation with our guest.
Oh yeah, how did it go?
Where are we? We're on the deck or something?
You can be up on the deck if that's where you choose to be. It's really up to
Yeah.
you. I assume probably up on the deck would be the best, just because it's the way where you could find a kind of quiet corner and stand, and the sound of the sea is going to kind of wash away any overhearing if you so choose.
Yeah, Geronimo's going to turn around and look towards Brannon with a fat cigar in his mouth, puffing it.
Well, for one, I don't think cult... Well, definitely cult, but I don't think we can really call her a cultist. I don't know. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, why can't we call her a cultist? Ain't she sort of obsessed with some god?
Occultist.
Yeah,
I-
and that.
Yes, it's more the fact that it doesn't seem like she had any choice in the matter.
Oh, she
Nope.
was indoctrinated.
Yeah, she's never known any different.
Hmm.
Oh well, I suppose that kind of explains it, but I don't think Smallsy's gonna understand that one. I mean,
I
Captain
mean,
Smallsy.
It's still a cult, even if she was, born into it.
Yeah, it's either way. It's all I'm saying is there's more to this than just people joining up for power.
You think you can get her on our side or what?
I doubt it, but I'll try.
What's the end goal here? See her do? Like, are we just keep her
trying to
alive
get-
for nothing?
No, I'm trying to get her to trust me more so I can get more information. I got some stuff, some of it kind of interesting. Baron's had his changes.
Yeah.
I think that's related quite a bit more than we believe
What you mean related to their
to their cult.
their cult? Oh, that ain't good. We can't
Seems
have
to
our strong guy under the thrall of some strange creature, can we?
I mean, no. I hope not.
Geronimo shivers at this.
Well, anyway, I've got some stuff out of her, but she's a bit too drunk now to really talk now.
Wait, she's a bit drunk. What you give her?
Oh, right.
Did you? Do you got her drunk?
That ain't very politically correct of you, Hatsy.
When the torture was.
Yeah, that's normal. You don't get your prisoners drunk.
You didn't
I-
sleep with her, did you?
No.
That's
That
a
doesn't sound entirely convincing.
Yeah, that is definitely the sound of a voice of somebody that's a little bit more guilty than they want to be.
Aye.
Hey, don't worry, Hatsy. Your secret's safe with me. And he gives him a big old wink.
Right. I was going to offer you a drink, although now I feel like I don't want to.
I mean, if you want to wash away your sins with some alcohol, don't stop on my account, Hatsy.
He takes out the flask of the very putrid rum and hands it to Geronimo.
Geronimo's going to take it. He's going to give it a sniff. What does it smell like?
As mentioned before, this is definitely a kind of rum, but it has that really kind of acidic, acrid stench of a homebrew rum. One of those kind of like bathtub boxes. It's pretty strong stuff. Probably could have used slightly less of an alcohol content.
Man, I wish I was Ashton right now. Geronimo's going to give it a little sniff and kind of recoil. And then he's going to raise it to his lips and take a swig.
Whilst you do this, as if to emphasize just the inebriatic, I'm going to make up a word, inebriatic effects of this drink and how quickly it can act, just faintly below decks, you can just hear this kind of voice going, "If I didn't kiss the girls, my lips would turn almost." Just this sailing song, just going under the decks from the very drunk Rhea on her only her second glass, watered down. And as you take this big kind of swig, immediately you have that kind of burning sensation down the throat. It almost sits in your stomach like lead, and very quickly you get that rush of warmth, almost like a blush, as this stuff hits hard and fast.
Geronimo's eyes open ever so slightly as he kind of feels this flush and goes,
hey, I'm all tingly and warm.
He'll very quickly remove the flask from his hand and take it back.
That was pretty neat, Hatsy. Can I have some more?
You'll be all right without any more for now. Maybe later.
If we get stuck in a mountain, definitely give me that. The snow would melt.
he kind of nods. It seems that he's a small stature and therefore cannot hold his drink. Quite as well as
The bounce has gone from his bungee.
Mm-hmm.
Natara, do you want some? I actually watered it down.
I quite all right. You know, you keep it.
And he'll re-cork it, I guess, and put it away.
The word square is heard on the wind.
What? That's sort of a strange shape to associate somebody with.
Square.
Huh, square.
I'll save the and a half for when we've got a full party.
No, I guess you can share a drink together. That's so kind of you. With this information reported, obviously, and deciding that you might talk to Baron around this when he's in a more amenable and less GM-controlled mood, do you still wish to go and speak to Erwal?
Yeah, but just literally to get notes on the story. Like, it doesn't have to be a long RP thing.
Oh, in which case, just a general summary appears to be that for a very long time, Houndford and Badgerton have pretty much hated each other. It's something to do with the fact that when it was first colonized, they were supposed to work to kind of build themselves up separately. There was kind of a bit of friendly competition put in, and that after this friendly competition, and they were both in a fairly stable way, they were supposed to come together as one much larger community, and that, according to the story that they were taught in Houndford, the people of Badgerton basically got super competitive, got super aggressive, spent a lot of time trying to undermine Houndford, and so this led to this growing animosity that has just since swollen and swollen and swollen and got much, much worse, to the point of now which they just hate each other and will actively carry out raids against one another in the name of this old vendetta.
No specifics on where this settlement that they were supposed to become one, was supposed to be, if it was a settlement.
No, and this is part of this is specifically mentioned as one of the reasons there is so much argument, is because it was never actually said like it was never like said, oh, you'll build a new city here, or it was never said, you know, you will have two cities that become one, in a kind of technical sense, and so they argued about what they were going to do. Do they move somewhere totally new? Does one group move in with the other? This was something they fought about, which led to that animosity.
Okay, fair enough. And yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Oh, okay. With the rest of the journey, it passes relatively uneventfully. You guys are crossing through fairly safe waters, everything is a bit calm, and the shining sun and billowing breeze push you on towards your destination, Barrack. Days pass into nights, nights pass back into days, and soon you make your way around between the straits towards the Bay of Farrick itself. Approaching Farrick, you pass by a small island that seems to sit in the bay that Farrick is founded upon. The island itself appears to have a strange circle of what look like stone pillars arranged around the centre of it. They're quite large structures, almost the size of... probably the size of a couple of stories tall, and very much visible from the ship as you round the island and head towards the very sprawling bay of Farrick. Farrick itself is very different to any of the other villages you've been in before. All of the locations you have been before have been either part of the Republic of Middenfair, or they have been the offshoots of the abortive effort to colonise eastward. Farrick is the first settlement you've come to, which you would be aware of, which had already been founded by the time the Republic stepped eastward. The city has existed since before the attempts to colonise, and architecturally speaking, it shows, where Middenfair and its kind of offshoots operated in this kind of classic, almost Tudoresque, wood thatch, daub, that kind of white, not cement, but plaster, with most of their buildings, outside of very permanent structures in which stone blocks would be used. Farrick is far more squat and broad. It doesn't occupy the same heights that other settlements do. It doesn't, try and look for, say, 5 or 6 story tenement blocks or anything like that. Instead, very low, almost drab, grey and brown stone buildings, almost like bunkers, sit quite broadly across the entire spread of the bay. A few of them are a couple of stories tall, but most are only 1, if not 2. And because they are built back on this rise up away from the bay, it almost creates this amphitheatre setup in which there appears to be this numerous multitude of steps from these flat-topped buildings that just begin to encompass and surround you as you pull into this very, very, very busy dockworks. Farrick appears to have a bustling, if not booming, shipping industry. And grab my map so I can take you onto it momentarily. And an assortment of long jetties hold cargo vessels that appear to be in the midst of loading and unloading quite quickly, all based within what looks to be a fairly sturdy old city wall that encompasses what looks like probably the oldest quarters of the city. Additionally, around that, you find that there is a multitude of what look like dry docks that are taking wood and in the midst of creating even more of these large vessels, many of which dwarf your own, as this almost industrious seafaring nation or city seems to just churn out this continual effort to try and conquer the seas, if you will. Standing out from these squat buildings, there are a couple of structures that become quite clear and obvious to you from the moment you can see them, just because they are so vastly different. The first is what appears to be a rectangular tower, atop which there looks to be 4 different spires, one feeding into the next, to create this almost stacked look to it. The second is, in fact, what appears to be an almost L-shaped set of walls that is in the highest point towards the back of the city. And from those L-shaped walls, you can see what looks like a great orb of almost glittering stone that reflects the sunlight brilliantly in all directions. Pulling up to the dock, small ferry boats quickly sail out and begin to direct you as they lead you towards one of the jetties that's actually out on the kind of further outskirts of the city. Being directed in fairly quickly, Durgus appears somewhat flustered and unhappy. He was never much of a sailor to begin with, and now being expected to carry out what really are kind of basic naval maneuvers becomes something of a challenge, just because he's expected to be so prim, proper and professional by these clearly professional managers of the harbour. However, eventually he manages to ham-fist your ship into one of the vacant docks, where a series of children, assortment of different people, run out, grabbing hold of ropes that are thrown over, and eventually tying up the ship before wandering back to a small, what looks like kind of staging area, where there are other gangs of dock workers ready to rush out to other jetties to help ships that are there. Your gangplank is lowered, and you take your first steps into Farrick.
Brandon will head on down then.
Yeah, Geronimo's going to come down as
Go
well shortly after Brannon and go,
Oh wow, this the big city looks kind of big. I ain't seen anything like this around this. I'm so used to those small villages.
You mean small towns, right?
Yeah, the town, villages, same thing.
No.
They're the same.
No.
They're basically the same.
No.
Agree to disagree?
No.
Oh, that ain't very welcoming of you, Goggles. You meant to go halfway with me.
Well, it's not the same thing.
It basically is. Anyways,
Yeah,
I'm bored of you.
Wow.
Wafts a hand towards her and then walks closer to Brandon.
She is technically right.
Hey, you meant to be on my side.
Since when?
Since forever.
Oh. Sure, yeah. Villages and towns. Same thing. Who would know?
Yeah, see, you hear? Hattie's on my side. Oh, wow. Look at this map.
That's a hell of a city.
Ooh.
It is hell of a
That's a
city.
And if you would like some information, what I can do is I can actually grab... if I just grab... Yes, go away. Blood and Guts is very functional. Thank you for letting me know. I grab the map marker that I use on the main map, I can... Oh, that's very, very small.
That's fine though.
I know, I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Image, let's make it a 2x2. That's much better. You are docked there.
Oh, okay.
There. So yeah, you are docked just on the kind of edge of the city, but this place spreads out across pretty much that entire width of that bay there, just sprawling rather than building upwards.
So, well, what's our first move?
I suppose we have to find what was it, mayor, the head.
Well,
head-
let's try not to be discovered as well by, the cultists.
Oh, before we go anywhere, I need to talk to those 4 individuals. They have something of mine that I desperately need. Yeah, I'll be right back. And Joe's
Before
gonna
you get a
run back
chance
home.
to run back away, you hear a faint call. Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo! A wave of the hand as you might turn to look to see a rather odd-looking character approaching in what appears to be a long tunic, likely of state, made of this kind of off-white ivory colour. Oddly, still pretty clean despite his working around the docks. A very, very thin, what appears to be elf of some sort, though with an incredibly long head. I'm talking real, think Mega Mind level. Comes trotting out towards you, wearing these very heeled boots. He wanders down the planking, keeps waving his hand towards you. I assume you know the fee you need to pay.
No, didn't know about the fee, but Harbour Master was where we were heading.
But you're on the Sea Serpent. You've been here before.
Oh, you haven't. It's not the Sea Serpent anymore. We're getting it changed. It's new owners.
New owners? Oh,
Yeah.
then you'll need the paperwork. The paperwork. And as he says that, he pulls a set of scrolls from inside of his robe and begins flicking through them very, very quickly, as if this is the most exciting thing that has happened to him in the last, perhaps, century. Who knows? Eventually he gets to a set of parchments, which he rips out very vigorously and offers them towards you. Change of ownership's right there. You can take those.
Baron. Jesus Christ, I'm messing up my own character's name. Brannon will take them.
As you take those ones, he begins flicking through even more again, before eventually ripping out some more. This is temporary use of the jetty. Offers that towards you. Again, he goes through again. This time he rips out a slightly smaller piece. This is for a license to carry cargo.
Wait, how many of these are there?
Well, I assume you'll need the full set. There's 3 more.
Oh, then yes, I'll take the other 3.
One moment, and he begins to go there, and basically you end up with this stack of ripped out what look like basically application forms, covering everything to do with putting the ship into your name, dealing with everything that you might want to bring on, agreeing to certain terms and conditions regarding use of the Farrick shipping lanes, all sorts of stuff. There's even one in there that you see that is about maritime debris and your rights to be able to seize it from shipwrecks within a certain distance of Farrick.
Is that everything?
Yes, we need it filled out in triplicate, though. I assume you have a scribe.
I suppose that's me.
Fantastic, yes, triplicate. And who's the captain?
Is Durgus with it?
We shall assume Durgus is on the ship, currently arguing with someone about how he wants the sails to be hoisted.
It's either him, points at Geronimo, or him, points at Durgus on the ship.
And
Sort it out, 2 of them.
do either have a captain's license?
Brandon looks at
There's a license for that.
Well, if they'd like to trade as captains within the city of Farrick, yes. We can't just we can't let nobodies just take ships out. That's how we end up with piracy and brigands and... He looks almost disgusted at the notion of crime at sea.
The short answer is no, because
Well, that needs another form. Then, one moment. And begins running through, rustling through again, pulls out a very, very long form, rips that off as well, then offers that towards you, Geronimo.
Geronimo's going to take the form and read over it.
This is a very long form that basically wants to know everything about you, your parents, your grandparents, and your great-grandparents to ascertain whether you are suitable for the position of captain working within any of the shipping industry to do with Farrick and using any of the seafaring operations that Farrick has to offer. Additionally, it has a small test on the back for you to fill out regarding your awareness in the function of seafaring vessels.
Yeah, Geronimo is going to look this, read it over, and go, yeah, I'm going to give this to the captain. And he's going to walk over and give it to Durgus to fill out.
I think Durgus looks thoroughly pleased that you've recognised him as captain up until he reads the form.
Geronimo is going to laugh in his face and then run away.
Okay.
Back to the others.
There is a thunk as the axe almost hits you. Returning, the harbour master, or at least this portion of the city, says, you have 3 days to fill out all of that. The ship, unfortunately, will be held in quarantine until possible, though you yourselves as crew can come and go.
As in, we are still allowed to, sleep on it and...
Yes, if you want to, but there can be no goods unloaded and the ship cannot leave. If after the 3 days you haven't filled out, then you will be forcibly removed. With your ship, we shan't seize the ship.
That's fine. Just a couple questions before I get on this, he says, with the mound of paper still in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any changes on whether or not I need to do any of this if we're not trading?
But you have a cargo vessel.
Yes, it was the only one we could get. We're not... it's merely for traveling.
And you don't need to buy and sell any goods here?
Well, personals, but not
That sounds like trading to me.
If I buy rations for me and the crew, does that count as trading?
Trading in foodstuffs.
Okay.
Yeah, he got you there, Hetzy. I don't think there's any way around it.
Fresh water? Trading in fresh water.
I mean, if you got to go pee, then it's probably trading water from yourself onto the ground here.
The harbour master doesn't look like he understands your sarcasm.
In that case, where's the nearest tavern or inn or pub or something?
The nearest? Likely the Rudder House? It's just inside the city walls. Head up that way, onto the main thoroughfare, follow it towards the walls, and it'll be just the other side of the gates.
Perfect. He turns to Geronimo. I'm heading there. You coming?
Yeah, I don't really think I got anything else to do. The captain's got to fill out all the forms, so he should probably stay on the boat.
Durgus is currently yelling about the fact that he doesn't have a pen.
I'll yell back to Durgus that there's one in my pack.
He then begins to yell about the fact that he doesn't know where your pack is. You hear lots of stomping and shouting and things being thrown about. It seems that Durgus is just creating issues because he wants to get angry about something. Honestly, Jensen could be missing every week and we'd have Durgus anyway.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't noticed Jensen being missing really at this point. So.
I've noticed an absence of continual talking.
Oh, of course.
And Brandon will start to make his move and then turn back to him and go, oh, actually, one other question. Is
Yes?
there any nearby that are licensed to buy and sell magical goods?
Trade in magical items is highly regulated. I suppose if you wanted to deal with House Zordon, they might have something. They could put you onto someone. Otherwise, you'll be looking for Xantam de Quitaine.
Wait, I'm sorry. House Zordon, as in, is it a house of mages?
Not a house of mages, no, they're farmers mostly, but a powerful lot, and they've been given responsibility for mercantilism within the city.
And what's this Xantam? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the pronunciation.
Xantam de Quitaine?
That's the one.
It's a little shop just on the south side of the city. They deal in trinkets and magical goods and items, though I don't know exactly what you're looking for. A quill that doesn't run out of ink, they've got that.
No, it's more. I every so often I produce magical scrolls, and I know I have to go to certain places to sell them.
Ah, then Xantam is, yeah. Xantam's where you want then. They'll be licensed to purchase scrolls off of you.
I'll head there later. Thank you for your help.
Not a problem, and remember, in triplicate, you can just return it to any of these stations. He points to some of the places where workers seem to be going and kind of resting before they run off to work on other ships. And they'll bring them over to me. Just make sure it's this side of the city, otherwise it might go to someone else, and then you'll never get your ship back.
Very well. I'll have it back to you by maybe the end of the day.
Seems delighted by that news and struts his stuff, pleased with how effective of a bureaucrat he is, all the way back to a chair, which he then falls in and leans back.
Right, I'm going to need a drink if I'm going to be doing this.
Are the others joining him?
Yeah, Geronimo's going to go with.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Making your way up through the streets, you find them to be far more organically laid out than any of the streets that you found with other towns and villages you've been in. Rather than fairly neat, well-paved roads, instead everything is this kind of winding, lazy track that has patches where stone pathways have kind of been slightly put in place, but then either side it's just worn dirt tracks, creating this kind of almost semi-permanent cloud of dust that seems to hang over these almost veins and arteries that feed into the central hubbub of the city. For pretty much all of you, except perhaps Brannon, who spent some time in the capital, this busyness is something completely else. This is thousands and thousands more people than any of the largest settlements you've seen before. Houses filled with multiple families, just people coming and going, food sellers and stalls on every corner as people yell and call out trying to barter and haggle over even just a snack for lunch. There is this real kind of almost sticky heat from just having so many different people so close together all the time. Despite the busyness, however, there is overall a fairly jovial atmosphere. People seem in fairly good spirits. Up until you reach the gate. As you arrive at the gate, people are kind of put more into an order, as they're kind of let in and let out at a regular pace, most likely for people's safety. You notice beside one of the gates, someone has one of those little box stools that people stand up on when they try to orate to a crowd, just as they decide to. And standing atop this one, you notice what appears to be a rather rugged-looking human with long, wavy blonde hair kind of thrown back and these deep blue eyes. His skin looks cracked and faded, as if he spent a lot of time under the sun, perhaps even working down at the docks. But at this point he is wearing little else other than a very long brown, almost like dress, robes if you will, on him. In his other hand he clutches this big staff, which he uses to almost bonk passers-by who get too close to him. And as he does so, he yells basically at people, "Beware! Beware! The end is nigh! Beware! Up there with the Sky Watcher! You know it to be there! The hole in the world, the hole in reality, it soon will split forth and asunder this material plane."
Well, Jeremy's going to look towards Natara.
Go, hey, that guy seems a little bit unhinged. What is he talking about?
It's probably just a bit kooky.
His kind of story continues as he speaks. The prophecies foretold by the next full moon. Eventually we would be punished for our hubris, for our arrogance, for our greed, all of you making your way in to suckle at the teat of money, of sleaze, of desire. You will be the very cause of your own downfall, as the gods push through the breach, and suffer not the mortals who look upon them with disdain.
I am Decad Pain.
Oh,
Oh,
don't.
Brother! Gather round, weary traveller.
I am Decad Pain. And we will all become Decad Slain. Anyways, I'm going to stop before I go out of control.
Stop before... Shut the
Jesus,
fuck
alright.
up, this is a Decad game.
we're on the deck.
I know, we're on it now. We've got to stop before we go too
We've got
far.
it, we've got-
This will just be 1 hour of bad Decad Kane puns. Yeah, just
We're sorry.
Yeah, anyway.
yeah.
Geronimo kind of looks towards him and kind of goes, "Yeah, I kind of preferred the lady from that other temple. This guy don't seem like the most enjoyable priest or whatever doomsday culty thing he's talking about."
I don't think he's a priest. I think he's just some crazy wobbling nonsense.
Yeah, well, what do you think, Hatchie?
I think he's part of it. I mean, a very off-brand part, but a part of the cult.
You think so?
Oh, it's an idea.
But you think they the cult thinks there's going to be some sort of doomsday happening in the next full moon?
Well, she was talking about things being awakened, and the idea of a watcher in the sky doesn't seem too off course.
Would Geronimo have heard any stories of full moons that caused deities to rip open and come down from the skies?
Give me a history or religion check, please.
Let's have a look. I mean, they're both the same for me. I'll go for history.
Go for it. I'll say if they're the
Oof.
same.
Nat 1. 4.
Not really, honestly. Doomsday cults, at least in Mid and Fair, are kind of rare. It's not something people really deal with. The idea of deities appearing to do things is something that definitely belongs in stories, and there are tales of gods interfering in the world directly, but they're few and far between for only really, really serious matters that people kind of nowadays consider just folklore and fairy tales. Gods are far more considered to be people who act through agents, be it their own children, be it heroes that they choose, be it people that just happen upon the evil machinations that the gods feel like they need to get involved in. These sorts of things are far more common than gods directly entering this world, for any number of theocratic reasons that basically the debates of which you kind of saw the books on your shelf and you're like, wow, I'm so clever, I own those books, and then you never opened them.
Okay. Geronimo's going to kind of tap his chin and go,
Yeah, I don't get it. I ain't know nothing about this. So, are we heading to the pub or what?
Yes, let's go. And remind me, the death cult story thing that we found in the cave about the giant snake, that said nothing about the full moon, did it?
No mention of the moon there whatsoever, no. No. Moving on, faintly in the background, you just hear this kind of continual diatribe, suggesting over and over again that the end is nigh, it will be coming. The next full moon, he promises. You need to look towards the Sky Watcher. It will begin there. This sort of rhetoric just continues in the background, people mostly paying little attention to it as you make your way swiftly through the gates. As you approach, you're briefly looked over. They see that you don't have anything in the way of like large caravans or anything coming in, and you're waved in quite stiffly. Entering onto a small kind of rounded kind of general area where people begin to just pick up any number of routes that kind of swirl off. The Rudder House is quite obvious actually on this block of buildings, advertised quite clearly with a large sign, and the building itself looks a bit like an upturned ship, so the belly of the hull upwards with an oversized rudder, as if someone's compensating for something. Inside of which it looks immensely busy. It looks as if actually one side of the hull has been almost totally removed, almost to create this tent-like canopy, which allows vision completely into the tavern, where a very long bar has a number of people working behind it, quickly throwing out drinks and what look to be mostly snacks. It doesn't look like full meals. Instead, they just appear to be kind of like heated rolls, kind of crispy phyllo things, all sorts of stuff like that. They're just being quickly thrown out to people, very much like a snack shack, if you will, with alcoholic beverages. Quite nice, one might say. And a whole array of people are milling about, talking to each other. Anyone who's been in a very busy pub in London might know what I'm talking about, where you just have crowds around a table that is it's too small for all of them, but damn it, they're going to stand there and drink together. Yeah, you're just going to go straight on in?
Yeah, heading in, looking for any table that might be free, although that might not be lucky at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a number of great tables. All of the good spots really have been taken up, though you do notice in one of the far corners, kind of near what you think is probably the door that leads out into some kind of toilet pit behind the building, there looks to be a small table where all of the seats have been taken away, but the desk itself is still there.
Kind of sighs, looks around, see if he can spot elsewhere an empty chair,
No.
and goes, this is really not my day. I'm going to be over there doing these notes. If someone finds a chair, please tell me. And he's gonna head up.
Before you go, Hatsy, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and keep my ear around. There seems to be like a lot of people around here. Now, I used to know a trick in the wheelhouse. When you wanted to find out when the next pastry delivery was coming, all you had to do was stand nearby some loudmouths and see if you can hear things. I'm gonna try and pick up on the scent of our friend.
Sounds like a good idea. If you need any help, let me know. I'm sure.
I got Gaggles here to help me.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, okay. Jono is going to kind of motion for Natara to help, and he's going to like wade through and try and pick out some people that are sort of talking, especially loudly and clearly drunk, and just just chatting.
Okay. And Natara, are you doing the same?
Yeah, she'll go with the journal.
Brandon's going to head over to that table and start going through that paperwork, leaning over it, and every so often stopping to retch out his back.
Turn up our crowded tavern. There we go, that's about right. Okay, sure. Could Natara and Geronimo give me perception or investigation checks? I'll happily take either.
I'll go for perception, I think.
Okay.
15 for me.
20.
Those are some pretty good rolls. Okay, let's see. I'm going to give you some choices. That was a 15 for Geronimo and a 20 for Natara.
Yeah.
Okay, Geronimo. Pick for me between a halfling, gnome, tabaxi, or a dwarf.
He's going to pick the gnome.
You're going to pick the gnome?
Yeah.
Cool. So, a fairly elderly-looking gnome, which obviously is impressive for gnomes in general, with this kind of frizzy grey hair that sticks out all the sides, almost Back to the Future style, with these liver-spotted hands and this kind of wrinkled, dark skin, is currently sitting at one of the tables that actually isn't so busy, with a number of other elderly individuals who all seem to be basically busy complaining about the state of things right now. In particular, you overhear them as the gnome kind of seems to be getting into a real rant as he goes, and I was just talking to one of my lads who works slightly further inland. I was. Oh, it's terrible, he says. Terrible. Says the ships aren't coming down like they were no more. Says cargo's got to go cross land, and they got even more trouble with that, but it's not nearly as expensive. So many damn problems. Says it's all to do with those What to do with those damn bandits, criminals, infested the villages up round that way. Hate them. All kicked up recently, they say. Oh, I keep telling my boy, come back to Farrick. We'll find him some work here, but he wants to make it on his own. Gods, I'm proud of him. And they all kind of raise their drinks together and salute this relative of this old gnome for his grit and determination for staying wherever he is, despite this increase in banditry and crime that has occurred only recently.
Okay.
Natara, pick for me 2 individuals from Tabaxi, Drow, Halfling, a Dwarf, a Half-Elf.
Drow and half-elf.
Okay. As you're making the rounds, you manage to pick up on a little bit more than Geronimo did. Geronimo, you obviously, there is a lot more for you to hear, Geronimo, but that's kind of the only bit that I would consider relevant for you to be aware of. As you're making your way through, you notice another drow, similar in stature and size to the Sanctic who you met with before. He has this long, braided silver hair that falls down to just below his shoulders, with these deep, piercing crimson eyes. As he's peering around, you hear him kind of caught up in a conversation with another elf. As he's speaking, he says quite clearly, "My brother was supposed to be investigating the Locust. Died while he was out there. I told him he was a fool. Fool's hope, trying to figure out what's going on with that blasted thing. Still, he was convinced there was some kind of power, something held up in it. Kept mentioning drink, wine. It's odd. Said it was all held up in the decanter, and the decanter was the secret to everything. Ironic that I'm here sharing a drink over his loss now, isn't it?" And again, another toast, though this one far more solemn and forlorn, in memory of this drow's fallen brother. And the second one was the half-elf, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. The half-elf is actually standing by one of the people working behind the tavern, and appears to actually just be kind of getting some information themselves, nodding their head as they say, "So, you're saying that there was some attacks recently? Oh, that is mighty terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. And they took your daughter. Oh my gods, I'm so sorry. Have you spoken to the guard? You have? Well, honestly, I hope they can... No, here, take a few extra gold for you. I know it's not much. Please, no, it looks pathetic, I know, but honestly, that's something awful. And they just took it. They didn't find nothing or something. I'm just so sorry." And that is the news you were able to gather listening around in this tavern.
Okay.
So that by the time you wander back to Brannon, give me an intelligence check. Your Order of Scribes, aren't you?
He is, yeah.
Good talk, Brannon.
Sorry, yeah. I think my... Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry. Yes, I am Order of Scribe.
Give me the intelligence check at advantage, then. This is kind of... Oh, that was really worth it.
Hell.
It's double sevens, so giving us 10s. Okay, you've got started, and certainly there was confidence when you set about this task originally. You filled out paperwork before. You're a scribe. You love filling out paperwork. But this stuff is dreary, man. This stuff is really dreary. And by the time the others return, having been on their scouting mission, you are about halfway through one of the documents.
What? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a lot of like minutia about specific experiences, and then having to copy it kind of in triplicate, so you have to do the same thing over and over again afterwards as well. And he hasn't given you extra forms, so you've had to do copies of the original forms on your own parchment.
running out of parchment then.
Yeah,
Wait, how many forms were there?
5.
I don't even have enough to do it in triplicate.
Well, then
Okay.
you can get started, but you're going to need those forms in triplicate.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Guess I'm going to the magic shop after I.
Oh, it
do
doesn't
it.
need to be. It doesn't need to be magic parchment. Any old parchment will do here.
But they'll sell the parchment. That's the thing.
That's a
I'm
safe.
going
That's a
anyway.
safe bet. But yeah, so they return to you just as you kind of maybe hit that kind of head in hands moment where it's like,
Yeah.
oh god, this is going to take so long.
Slowly reclining onto this table with head in hands and just staring at the latest sheet that he's copied out.
Natara, Geronimo, you see your friend lying down on a table.
Yeah, Geronimo's gonna kind of move a chair, like kind of push himself up towards Brannon and kind of like clamber up next to him and kind of give him a flick on the forehead.
Oh no! Why did you do that?
Yeah, you weren't looking so good, Hetty. You need to make sure you're alive still.
Yeah, you're right there.
Fine. I've just never done anything so monotonous for quite a while.
I thought you like writing things down. I always see you writing something with a
Aye.
quill.
Yes, writing things out of interest, not this. Natara, you will understand. Look at this, and I slide one of the forms across just for her to see.
Natara looks down at it and then she just frowns and she goes, you have fun with that. Yeah, you have fun with that.
I need more paper anyway, so I'm probably going to be heading to that Xantam shop he mentioned.
Yeah, but we ain't allowed to trade at all until we hand this in, don't we?
I think we're not allowed to bring the trade on the ship.
Oh, that's
Oh,
true. Maybe.
I'll go there. I've got some things to sell anyway, so maybe. And if they refuse the stuff, then at least I can find out whether they've got what I want there.
Yeah, for sure. But in the meantime, I found out some interesting information.
Oh, go on! And he just shoves the papers to one side.
Geronimo smiles at this, clearly happy to bring Brandon some amusement after the writing fiasco. So I was listening to some old gnome, and apparently he's got a son that goes up to some northern villages, but they've been attacked by bandits very recently. I can't help but draw some conclusions that maybe our old friend may have came here and is causing some trouble.
Well, I heard something interesting.
Oh yeah?
Aye. It was a drow, it looked like. He was like he's talking about his brother investigating some malagas or algas, something. I couldn't really catch it. And he died while he was there, and his brother was convinced there was some kind of power held up in it. Kept mentioning a drink, and he kept mentioning a decanter. That it was all held up in the decanter.
Wait, the decanters here?
Well, he kept mentioning it. He said his brother that died kept mentioning it, and he died investing some malagas or alagas, lagos,
The
Do you mean
word
locus?
the word you might remember is locus, Locus.
locus. Yes, that's the one she remembers. Locus.
Huh.
Would I know what a locus is? Would Geronimo know?
I mean, the word locus is in how it's defined. Yeah, sure, that's just like a word. Specifically according to how they may have been using it, that would be an arcana at disadvantage.
Sure, I'll do that test.
Yeah, give it a go. In fact, Brandon, you've got arcana checked, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can give me arcana at disadvantage.
14.
14's
I
not
have
bad.
Arcana checked.
You can all do it. Arcana checks all around.
17.
Okay. So obviously outside of just the meaning of what a locus is, which look it up on Oxford Dictionary. Geronimo, in your training as a kind of magically infused engineer, you did deal with kind of the term locus used in magic. and it was often just used to suggest a point in which magic was very, very powerful, or very, very unstable, or very, very raw. It's kind of like a central focus point for some kind of magical affinity, be it naturally occurring, be it the center of a magically powered engine, be it possibly what goes inside your unliving nozzle, that sort of thing. But in the specific context that Natara has it, you couldn't say for certain what the locus might be referring to.
Okay. Yeah, Geronimo taps his chin and goes, yeah, these locuses, I came across them, especially when I was working on my own projects. It's like a focus point for magic, whether unstable or just raw in general, but it's a strong point of magic. So whatever he was looking for could be something very strong.
Yeah, he said his brother kept mentioning a decanter, that it was all held up in it. And then I heard some other guy talk about that there'd been some attack recently and they took someone's daughter.
Huh.
What, in the city?
I think it was the barman he was talking to.
Maybe we should watch ourselves around here then.
Maybe we could talk to the barman and see if we can get some information on that. See, maybe that might lead us to where these bandits are attacking. That I don't suppose they're all linked. Maybe.
Perhaps.
Maybe, I mean, it's a stretch, but we might as well try.
At least then we got a move to go to, other than wandering around some big city.
Yes, and it is a lot bigger than the other ones we've been to so far.
Makes me feel even smaller, and I already feel small. Geronimo kind of like shies away.
You do look very, very small in this big city.
Boy.
So are you heading up to talk to the what appeared to be the tavern keep?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. A fairly dull bronze-looking dragonborn is standing behind the counter, not really engaging with the work themselves. Instead, with these stark blue eyes, they just kind of stare down their staff and give almost like conductor-like swings of the fingers to point where the staff should go when they don't seem to have any kind of job immediately in front of them. As you approach and kind of catch the dragonborn's eyes, he pauses for a moment, peers around him to make sure there's no member of his staff who appears to be slacking, which there doesn't, before he lumbers on over towards you, sitting himself down on a fairly large stool that's behind the counter. You notice as he walks he has this kind of, not awful, but very pronounced limp as he drags one of his legs almost behind him, before setting himself down. So, what will it be?
Could I? Have you got any ale?
We got lots.
We'll take the 3 tankers.
He gives a kind of take back, as in, you're a very small man for 3 tankards of ale. But before turning and in a very kind of pronounced slow measure, pouring out 3 tankards from one of the large barrels, setting all 3 tankards down in front of you, Geronimo, and then saying, "That'll be a silver and 5 coppers."
Yeah, Geronimo's going to put down 5 silvers. 14 and... How many coppers was it, sorry?
1 silver, 5 coppers.
Oh, wow. I got that totally mixed up.
Yeah, you did. I may have said the wrong thing, but yeah, 1 silver, 5 coppers.
No, you definitely said 1 silver, 5 coppers.
that's fine.
I just said 5 silvers, 1 copper was my dyslexic.
I thought you were bribing, to be honest.
Yeah, here you go. Here's 5. Geronimo will give him the correct amount.
Yep.
And then look towards him and go, "Hey, thanks. Would you mind helping me out a little bit? I heard some rumors and wanted to confirm it."
Rumors are a lot like Dockland's whore.
Oh, they're very cheap.
Very cheap. You don't know how they got there, and everybody seems to want to know about them.
Yeah, well, that ain't my kind of vibe, but I'm a good Samaritan. You see,
What's a Samaritan?
it's a sort of it's a type of gnome that helps people out on the road.
Sounds foreign.
It is foreign. It's what gnomes do, and I'm a gnome.
Nice to meet you, a gnome.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Geronimo kind of like chuckles and rolls his eyes a little bit. Yeah, that for sure. But hey, the rumors I wanted to check. I heard some guy's daughter got kidnapped by some bandits. Do you happen to know whose daughter it was?
The Dragonborn looks over his shoulder briefly, catches he glances at one of the waiting staff before looking back to you. Someone very close to the establishment.
Well, you see, me and my pals are visitors here, and we done a lot of good work ourselves. Rescuing and saving and dealing with problems like that. And whilst our businesses here would looking to make some good relationships, friendships with the locals, and thought we could help out. And heard some people talking about it, and thought we could maybe see if we can help get that daughter back.
Came with a spate of abductions. Not long after, the old bald man showed up.
The old bald man?
Fat fella. Bald all over. Didn't even look like he had eyebrows. Turned up not too long ago. Said he was looking to hire some gnolls. Clans of them traveled the countryside round here. Not soon after, some of the kids went missing from different families.
Huh. And do you know where this bald man went to?
Mentioned going north. Said something about Yarnscow.
Yarnscow? What's that?
Little farming village up to the north. In the hands of House Zordon at the moment, I think.
Geronimo taps his chin as the player quickly writes down these words.
Not a problem. Let me know if you need me to spell any of those.
Well, I've Yarn Skull. I've done JARNSKUL SKULL.
No. YARNSKAL. Yarnscal.
Oh, Yarn Scal.
Yeah. I can spell that in chat for you.
Old man went there.
Yarnscal. There you go.
Where did you put that? Did you put that in
I
there?
put it in the Foundry. Although I realise if you can't see it, it might be because I'm on private GM.
No, I can't see it. I can't
Perfect.
see it. That's no problem. Geronimo nods his head quite voraciously, really happy with the news and at least the information that he's been told. He goes, "Hey, you're a good man. What's your name, barkeep?"
Pa Bellery.
Geronimo tries to say the word, but his gnomish tongue twizzles. He's a bronze dragon, isn't he?
He was bronze, yeah. He's that kind of dull bronze. I've also spelt Pa Bellery for you. As he says the bell bit, a little bit of almost smog seems to kind of twist out of his nostrils.
I'm gonna call you Bell.
Bell. He kind of says just the shorthand bit, and even that causes a little bit of smoke to come out as well.
Yeah, it's a bit too long for my gnomish tongue. Anyways, yeah, you've been a real pal, friend. What we'll do is, did you say it's one of your barkeeps?
Gives a little nod of his head.
Yeah, well, you tell them that we'll investigate it and see if we get that daughter back. Do you have a description of what she looks like?
About yay high. Holds his hand out to about your height, maybe just a little bit shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Hair up in curls last I saw. Deep green. Her skin was soft.
Blue skin, hair up. Yeah.
Up in
Did you say
curls.
green eyes?
No, the hair was green. Sorry, I wasn't very clear.
Okay, got it. Soft blue skin. Geronimo kind of like nods, kind of quite fervently. Yeah, that okay, brilliant. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out and come back to you. I don't suppose there's any chance that that there might be some reward, or at least there's some sort of favor if we do manage this.
There's a pause as he thinks about what you're saying. Free drinks for a week.
Okay, that sounds pretty promising.
I assume your friends work with you. He points at the other figures around you.
Yeah, these are my buddies, my pals, my friends.
They'll be included on the drinks.
Perfect. Thank you, Belle. We'll get on that. That you've been super helpful, and for your troubles. And he kind of pulls out another silver piece and slides it towards him.
He lifts it up, gives a nod of thanks before saying, I'll make sure the father gets this. I'm fortunate enough already.
Yeah, for sure. I don't care where it goes.
He gives another little head and thanks before turning and placing it in what appears to be a fairly large pot that is actually slowly filling up with coins.
Mm-hmm. Drummer's gonna pick up the 3 tankards and leave the bar and head towards Natara and Brandon, offering them the tankards when he gets there.
Oh, thank you. Oh, actually, you know
How
what?
nice of you.
I thought you guys might be thirsty after all that work, and especially after that journey. And hey, that rum was pretty disgusting, so wash it down. He's gonna take a
nice swig from his own tankard.
I don't know about disgusting. You seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, I just like the effects, okay?
Very well. Find out anything?
Yeah. So it seems all our information was kind of concrete. Turns out the bald man did come through here recently, and he was looking to hire a pack of gnolls. There's some sort of mercenary group. Anyways, soon after, a couple of the kids from the town went missing, including one of the establishment's daughter. I got a description of her too. So, it's kind of my height, sort of deep green hair, up in curls, blue skin. So we'll be able to identify her. But either way, they went up to a village called Yarnskull up in the north. Kind of links with the information that I heard. Turns out they're probably operating from there. So apparently that house Zordan is working with it. So, or at least owns that place. So maybe we killed 2 birds with 1 stone.
Well, it sounds like an idea to me. I got a couple things to do in town, as I said, but maybe tomorrow we head out.
Yeah, see, it sounds like a plan to me.
Aye.
Okay. With an agreement to that plan, and the, I suppose, promise of adventure coming up soon, it is a little bit early, but why don't we call the session here, so that when we bring Jared and Jensen back in, we have a kind of flat point for them to leap off of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sounds good to me.
Okay. What we can use some of this last time to briefly go through then is just quickly for my kind of help preparing. So for next session, we want to kick off with the things you want to do in the city before you head off to Yarnskull. That's the current plan, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Brandon's definitely going to head to Xantam and
Xantam,
maybe House Zorden, depending on what Xantam's like.
Xantam and Zorden, yep.
I think we should, well, Natara or I would like to find out more about this bold man, which is clearly our friend.
So you want to do a
Let's
little bit
calm
more.
down.
Okay, yeah, you want to find
A
out
little bit
more
of
if you can.
research and yeah, a little bit
Research.
more. Maybe let's have a talk with this doomsayer
Okay.
as well.
Okay, cool. I'll just throw my pencil across the room. just as well. I've got a spare always at hand. Okay. Anything else in particular? So research, possibly doomsayers. I'm sure you will find many more of them around. Anything else in particular he wants to get up to? Even think like little things that you're suddenly like, oh, I would really like a... Since this is the first kind of really large population base you've gone into, so there is a little bit more on offer here than in the villages that have been out in the sticks.
I'm trying to think what else we could possibly need. I don't think there's anything I in particular need, unless I try and get some tools, but...
Actually, to be fair, it might be a good idea to head to one of... If there's like a larger shop in town, obviously we'll have to find that out, but might be an idea to head there, because I'll probably be coming into some money when I sell the scrolls.
Okay, so just kind of general store?
Yeah.
General store. Perfect. Okay, so we have Xantam and Zordon's, we have some research and talking to a doomsayer, and then we have a general store trip.
Yeah, I think so.
Fantastic. Okay, in which case I think we call the session there. Thank you very much to everyone who has been with us. Apologies for not having our full cast of characters. Sadly, life is one of those things that just sometimes plays up for us all. We will, of course, be doing another raid this evening because it's important we continue to do that. And so let's go find someone who we can go and drop a raid onto. Even if it's just a few of us. We've got some people running Rise of Tiamat. We've got some people that have Icewind Dale, who currently have a crab as their thingy. Hostess in Combat. Lost Minds of Fandelver.
Where's
Rise
that
of
one?
the Rune Lords. Kawaii Sky. Starting a new campaign, Joey Flowers. A birthday stream from Nefaku. Lovely.
Nefaku.
La Prima Flama are doing Curse of Strahd talk show something or other.
Why don't we do the birthday stream one? I feel like...
Yeah.
The birthday stream?
Let's do
Yeah,
birthday
okay.
stream.
Okay. Let me set that up then. 1 second. Let's do... and it is spelt NEFAO_. Bam. Okay, so... hop in if you can. Let's get a few people in there, and if we can say some lovely things about, you know, it's their birthday. Happy birthday. That should be the line. A happy birthday. Thank you again for everyone for being with us. Have a fantastic evening, and we will see you all next week. Bye bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Ta-ta.